Hey, hi, I'm going to be officiating the wedding.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination episode 1140.
This is No Agenda.
Hitched and happy and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's been so wet, there's going to be a fire season. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Now, do I even want to ask how that works? Because it sounds like
Lots
a California.
Lots of water, lots of weeds, growing taller and taller.
Oh, right.
Taller. Then there's a big fire, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, what happened? How did this fire occur?"
Got it.
When I was a kid, they used to do controlled burns all over the state.
Yeah, they do them in Texas.
Yeah, they do them everywhere, but for some reason around
everywhere
here,
but California. Really?
California was always in fire. Just, what's the point?
Well, remember we have the diary from the guy who went there in 1850 or around the 49 gold rush and described it as a hell of fire and flood and earthquakes, and I guess that hasn't really changed much.
No, but
except we got Hollywood now.
Help. They were trying to change it when they did controlled burns.
Well, now I remember why we have 2 shows a week. We can't. There's too much going on in the world for just one show.
There's a lot.
I don't know about you, but I think
we should do 3 shows.
I got China news, vaccines, Green New Deal, Eurovision contest, EU elections, Australian elections.
Well, let's start off with the big news then.
Oh, what's that?
Eurovision. It was your Hollanders who won.
Yeah. So this was on Saturday. They had the big Eurovision Song Contest. This was the evening before my wedding day. So there was no way, although we were in the same place, technically we could have done a snarky stream, watching the show and then just commenting on it, but that we'll have to wait for next year. But that may not happen because the Netherlands won, which I don't know if that was...
So they're going to fold the competition because of the Netherlands?
Well, no. Something else is happening here. So you have to understand, this is a Eurovision broadcasting project. It's about the broadcasters as much as it's about the song itself. It's actually not even supposed to be about the artist, but about the songwriter and composer and the producer. That's kind of been forgotten. Now it's just a huge show element. In fact, Madonna performed live on the show, which was so off-key during the live show, but then magically fixed on her own YouTube channel. It was fantastic. I don't know how that worked. The little auto-tune here and there. Or maybe she even went into the studio in the middle of the night. Oh, yeah, it was a huge difference.
Good to do an A-B comparison.
Oh, it's all over YouTube, the A-Bs. Like, okay. I actually should have gotten that. I apologize.
Did I say A-V? I hope to say A-B.
No, you said A-B. I heard A-B. So, the way it works is the winner... the contest is hosted in the country of the winner in the next year. I mean, this year it was in Israel, and this guy Duncan won. Duncan, let's see,
Donuts.
No, Duncan. In fact, they do say Duncan in Holland like they say Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, dat is Dvorak bij Dunkin' Donuts met Tina en Adam. Huh? So it's Duncan Lawrence Arcade, which I thought was a pretty boring song. But this guy is interesting because he won The Voice in the Netherlands. So he literally came from nothing and then went straight to the top of the charts. But now, here's what happens. Because it's a Eurovision broadcast union gig, there's always a big deal about who's going to host the show. And within an hour, or maybe it was the next morning, for me it was an hour, of the winner being declared, people are already calling for me to be one of the hosts of next year's show. Can you believe it?
They got wind of our scheme.
They're like, no, we can't have him snarking. Let's pay him to get him to do an official presentation. And I'm thinking, no. I'll host your show with my co-host, John C. Dvorak. I'll do the Dutch translations where necessary. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I could actually. We'd actually do a bang-up job. But you can get the gig if you can get it.
Well, it's the way this came, and I think it's a confluence of things. I was a little bit in the news in Holland because of the wedding. Madonna was on the show. I'm famous in the Netherlands for saying Madonna, where everyone was pronouncing it Madonna. So in the 80s when I was on television, people were like, oh my God.
Famous for pronouncing something right.
To this day, people still come up to me and go, hey, Curry, Madonna.
Jeez.
And so, I think the confluence of those things kind of like, oh, yeah, let's get that guy. Well, anyway, I accept. I'm already in. Choose me. It would be so funny. So thanks for coming to the wedding.
Yes, we should talk about the wedding. You had a big event. It was the wedding of the decade.
Yes, it was bigger than Lady Di's wedding, I understand.
What shocked me is that, so here's just a little insider for the people out there so they know what kind of a jerk I am.
Do you have 10 minutes of the show so I can continue?
So I showed up at their little pre-event late because I had the time mixed up.
Well, let me just say how this felt.
Fashionably late.
Hold on. From the inside, this was supposed to be from 4 to 6, only for people coming from out of state, out of town, out of country.
Yeah.
And 4 to 6. Because,
Yes.
and it was still like 35 people, so it's a lot of people to have in your house. And everyone's like, hey, is Dvorak coming? So, I don't know. And, Horowitz was there with his wife, and David Foley was there, and his family, and lots of people who listen. So I don't know, man. I'm texting Mimi. She's like, no, I'm in Phoenix. Okay. I said, do you know where John is? No, I don't know where he is. And then people are starting to leave, and I'm waving at him, and all of a sudden, I'm out with Horowitz with his wife Jill. And it's 7:30, which is, I expected it to go long. And careening down the hill comes the John C. Dvorak in his white RAV4 with license plate LGY.
Forerunner.
Was Forerunner? Oh, with license plate LGY. Skirt. Yeah. And he comes out, everybody, here I am, John C. Dvorak. So, yes, fashionably late, but, and Jill Horowitz, she apparently turned around, went back in, and went to Tina and went, you're never going to guess. I guess we're staying. Dvorak just showed up. She was ready to go home.
Yeah. So because of that moment, you began to assume that I was just going to be late when I'm not. I'm very punctual as a person. So the wedding is supposed to start at 6, and I said, what time are you going to
wedding?
Yeah, I get there. No, you've got to be there, you said, by 5:30, and then...
Oh, the next day, on Sunday, you mean?
Yeah, on Sunday.
I wasn't done. Hold on. I wasn't done with Saturday. You come in, say hi to everybody. Go, yeah. And then within 15 minutes, hey, do you get ESPN on that TV over there? I got to see how the Golden State Warriors are doing. And you sit down and just start watching TV.
I was just watching, looking at the score. I wasn't sitting down watching TV. Curiously, because my timing was off, the game had just begun, so it was 0-0 when it began. I said, hey, you're happy now, Dvorak? 0-0. What a game. I think it's a soccer game.
Yeah, okay.
So it all made sense to you because it sounded like a soccer score.
Yes.
Now,
next day, Sunday.
So they give me this thing about getting there. I said, well, yeah. And I'm thinking maybe I should show up. I could go to the thing. It just starts at 6. It'd be at 6:15. Beginning. No, this thing is starting at 6. The ceremony starts at 6.
Yeah,
you made a big stink about it.
And what time did we start?
Well, that's what stunned me.
6.
Because I was thinking, well, if this doesn't start at 6 exactly, because he made such a big stink.
You're walking out. I'm done.
He's going to hear about it forever. So
here's what you forget. My wife runs big shows like the Ronald McDonald House Bandana Ball. This thing was scripted. She had people from the house working with her who know how to, there was a whole run of show spreadsheet.
Well, it started at 6 with the twosome coming in to some song and the jumping around.
Lovely Day by Bill Withers, yeah.
And then they went up and did the ceremony. There's a bunch of poems that were read. And everyone's in tears.
One beautiful reading by Tina's daughter, Ellen.
Ellen read this poem. And then they do the vows. And this got this kind of a diminutive guy doing the service.
Well, stop.
Who was cleaning his,
hold on, stop.
Looking at his nails.
Stop. Sir Gene, the Baron de Marriott Sheriff of Texas, was supposed to do the officiation. And he had his script, and we'd met about it, and he was going to wear his long dress, and with the beard, it was going to be perfect. And Wednesday night, he got word that his parents had been in a car accident up in Washington State.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad, and his dad was in ICU, and I said, dude, don't even think about it. Get on the plane now, which he did. And I haven't gotten an update. As far as I know, his mom's okay, his dad is okay, but he had memory issues and was still in the ICU last I heard from him. So lots of karma go out to Gene and his family. So we were presented with an issue. Now, getting someone to officiate a wedding is as simple. In fact, Elise, Tina's other daughter, I can say my stepdaughter, she got ordained online and said, Mom, don't worry about it. See, even I could do it. And then I'm like, how about Dvorak? And she's like, oh, God, no. No, not Dvorak.
Not Dvorak. I've done this before. But I was thinking it might not be a bad thing for the show if we did these weddings for $5,000 or $10,000 a pop.
Well, now that I think is a good idea.
So often
we can do this. We can go marry people and do appearances. How much? 5 or 10?
I was thinking 5 or 10 for a wedding, but it's not for just anybody.
So
somebody who's got $5,000 or $10,000.
Well,
because it's like excess money for them.
Let me tell you how it worked for us. So I'm like, I got to find somebody thinking, who could do it. And then we wanted our guests just to be guests. And so I start searching around. I Bing it. And yes, sure as shit. You can get, was it sweetandshortceremonies.com. You can choose your officiant. And so I show these pictures. It's like a Tinder for people who can do weddings. And all the girls go, yeah, that guy. And that was Jason Farmer.
The girls.
$250. It was a good deal.
That's cheap.
That's a good
deal.
Yeah, I was very happy, and he's I read his blurb. He's like former DJ. I'm like, this guy's perfect. He can read a script. Just read it. Just give us perfect. So I liked it. I thought he did a good. I understand that he looked a little unkempt. I know. So, but that was
it's like some guy just rolled in.
Kind of.
But I'm here for the wedding. Who's the bride? Who's the groom? Let me say hi at least. Hey, hi. I'm gonna be the guy. I'm gonna be officiating the wedding. Yeah, that kind of thing.
That guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That guy.
All that was missing, as far as I was concerned, was having a nearby bottle of open bourbon.
Yeah.
That he could, go over to once in a while.
Anyway, then we walked out.
Too old for this.
So we walked out to ACD's Shook Me All Night Long, and then we basically had a party the rest of the night. I'm sorry you didn't like your meal. I'm not going
to say I didn't like the meal. I wasn't that hungry. But there was one thing that was just a little much. The salad came out. It had no salad dressing.
Well, that's wrong.
No vinegar, no oil.
Well, that's wrong. I had salad dressing, then they messed you up.
We had nothing. Horowitz says to me, "Is there dressing on this thing?"
We're going to make
I can tell. It's just like they dressed it with water.
Now, believe me, we're not serving dry salad.
Well, you did.
Well, okay. Thanks for telling me, because we're going to make an issue out of that.
You should.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So then the girl gets all huffy, and she brings us a little bitty bowl of salad dressing on this for the side. It was just a little bitty, like a thumbnail. And so we had to try to split that amongst the three of us.
I apologize. I'm so sorry about that.
Apparently, Jill didn't care.
No. Hey, at least you didn't.
I don't know if the whole table didn't get salad dressing or not.
I had salad dressing. Well, but I know that some people, their food arrived and wasn't really warm. There's some other minor issues.
Well, Mimi used to work in that business, kind of, and she talked about the errors in service. They were, and we all concluded later in the evening that
upon reviewing the day.
Yeah, reviewing the typical post-mortem of the day. We went over it with the Horowitzes and concluded that this place really wasn't equipped to serve these sorts of the events. And I felt that they sold somebody a bill of goods that they could do it, because the giveaway, according to Mimi, was they kept going way back into the kitchen and each person bringing back 2 plates.
Yeah, I saw that
Running
too.
back to the kitchen, bringing back 2
I
plates.
saw the kitchen is way
Which is
too
why the
far
food was
removed.
cold.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Where is the big cart you bring out?
Yeah.
The setup cart. You got with 1,000 dishes on. They roll the big cart out into the middle of the thing, and then the service people go nuts. And they get everything served. No, they didn't do that. And they could only carry 2 dishes. They weren't like these professionals that could carry 6 dishes. The way some of or even a tray with 4 or 5 dishes. They didn't do that either. It was just carrying dishes one by one, and it took forever to serve. And that's the only bitch I had.
Okay, well, that's good feedback. The salad really pisses me off, though. That really angers me.
Yeah, well,
that's lame.
It was a bit baffling.
Yeah. Now, I was disappointed, but it's okay. You and Mimi don't dance.
Well, I dance, but Mimi doesn't dance.
I didn't see you dancing.
Dance if she's not dancing.
I didn't see you dancing.
I just said, I'll say it again. I'm not going to dance if she's not dancing.
Why not?
Because it's rude, I think.
Okay.
It's like leaving somebody, oh, yeah, you stay there. I'll go out and have some fun. That's bull crap. I'm not doing that. So we...
and they never had a fight. By the way,
that music guy...
I love the DJ.
He's as deaf as you are.
Yeah, he did have it a little loud. I agree. And of course he's deaf. But I thought the DJ was great. It's very
the guy had woofers under his thing that were giving so much bass wash. It was blowing the curtains.
He was just trying to cater to the audience, mainly me, who's deaf.
Yeah, well
actually, here's what I noticed. Here's the complicated part. I have no reference anymore with the hearing aids. So when I was glad that my sister said to you, and then you told me, and then of course I said, "Hey man, my sister complains a lot," which you went back and told her.
Of course,
you dick. Yeah. I said my sister complains about stuff, but she was right. You were right, but I have no reference because even when it was turned down, I kept saying to people, "Is this loud to me?" Is it because the compression in my hearing aids will bring the music up, and it does all kinds of weird things and. It was very difficult for me to reference if it was too loud or not.
I think the best line of the night was you saying, I said, the music, it says it got to be 140 decibels in there, I said, which is illegal, I think, in most communities. And it was boom, boom. I mean, the guy would, and it was just loud. And what bothered me, the fidelity was mediocre. So you said, oh, okay, well, I just turned my hearing aids off. It sounds great. Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, it was a great time. It was great to have all the family there. We had a fantastic time. I'm really happy you came when Mimi came. I'm happy everybody came. So it was, and now I'm married. Go figure.
Yeah, about that.
Now, as the keeper is part of the enterprise, we have not had our.
She's going to start butting in now. You watch.
No.
I think your modulation was off in that last show.
No, we haven't had our honeymoon yet, and that's because we're going to combine it with a trip to Northern Ireland. A friend of hers, her daughter is getting married. They were actually there, as was the daughter, very good friends of hers. So we had already planned on doing the Northern Ireland trip. But and then from there we're going to go to just 4 or 5 days. Going to go to Portugal just to sit on the beach for a couple of days. But we will be in London for 2 days. And the keeper is like, hey, now that we're a part of this enterprise, we should do a meetup. So I think we'll do that on. Let me see. We'll do it on Wednesday. Oh, hold on, John just popped out. I'll get him back in a second. Just don't hang up on me. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You hung up on me.
I didn't. I didn't hang up on anybody.
As I was saying, because she's now part of the... I was saying Tina's part of the enterprise now. No, I heard what you said. I said, because we're going to London and she's part of the enterprise, now we're going to do a meetup on Friday. I think it's is it the 13th? Oh, could be Friday. No.
13th of what?
Of June. Hold on, let me check.
Are we going to do shows or what?
Yeah. Hey, I only skip once for a wedding. I'm not going to skip for a honeymoon. You crazy? Hold on.
What a romantic.
Wednesday the 12th. Yes. Wednesday the 12th of June. We'll do a meetup in London to be determined. I just want to give everybody a heads up. It'll be in the evening. And then, if anyone wants to, we could do one in Portugal.
I don't know. Do we have?
Yeah, we definitely have people in Portugal. I don't think we have anybody. Well, we can't do it in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. We just won't have enough time. We're just in and out. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, I don't. Portugal is probably not going to happen. I think you'll get a showing at London.
Yes,
and I think that would be fine.
Yes, we will be serving dry salads. It's the new No Agenda staple. All right. And thank you all very much for all your tweets and well wishes and all the great things you've said. And the Dutch press has been their typical way. You know, always a little cranky, always sticking it to me. They're like, well, Tina looks like the perfect mix between X number 1 and X number 2. It's like, what the fuck, people? Douchebags. Yes, idiots. Anyway. Hey, there was something else. There was big news that took place, and that was and in fact, Mark Hall, Sir Mark Hall, who also attended our nuptials, was very honest. And he actually, although he lives in the Austin area, he was staying at the hotel where we had the reception. He said, Adam, I'm going upstairs. I'm going to watch the final Game of Thrones episode. I will be back down. He was the only person that was honest about it. I saw people leaving, that thing, people thinking, I got to get out soon. I don't, after everything was done, there's cleanup and people like, don't tell me what happened. Don't spoil it for me. And
you give me crap about just checking a score.
I know. Well, so I have two clips that relate to this. The first is just something interesting between AOC and Elizabeth Warren. For some reason, they've teamed up on, I'm not sure what issues, but they had their little review of the Game of Thrones, and as you can imagine, none of it was good.
So did you see Game of Thrones last night?
I did. I'm sad. I'm disappointed about it.
I was just really... Meh.
I feel like we were getting so close to having this ending with just women running the world.
Exactly.
And then the last two episodes, it's like, they're too emotional.
Yeah, when can't do that.
The end, it's like, this was written so.
I was even willing at the end to make a quick allegiance shift when Danny went nuts.
Right.
So I was over to Sansa. Yeah. I was like, Team Sansa. I was reading my shirts.
Totally.
The whole thing.
Totally.
And yet Sansa, who already is Queen of the North, thank you very much.
Right.
She walks away saying, and I'll still be Queen of the North.
I know.
Come on, Sansa, go for the big ones.
I was disappointed. We need to get some feminist analysis up in HBO.
They need some help on this.
They do.
All right, so there it is.
Okay, clip of the day right off the bat so we can get that over with.
Well, hold on a second.
Clip of the day.
Thank you.
I mean, give me a break. What is to expose yourself as some sort of a fanboy junkie and go on about women taking over the world and all this other stuff? How is this a politically good idea?
Well, I don't think it is. But maybe a lot of people agree.
I don't think it is either.
Well, this brings me to my second clip in this. I have not followed Game of Thrones. I tried watching the first episode and a half, didn't really like it. I did sit and watch, as Elise watched the final one Monday. And
let me tell you my side so we can even this up. I have never seen a complete episode of Game of Thrones. I can't watch it. I think it's unwatchable. I like the scene. I have seen the scenes where the dragon comes in and burns people just burns them to toast.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. And I like, what's her name? The actress who plays the evil blonde with the dragon.
Yeah.
I think she's fun to watch act.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen a whole episode. I never saw anything from this season, including a clip. So I don't care about this story. I think it's a cornball just cornball, period.
Well, yes, you're right. And what is interesting to me is, why do I not like it? Why does my partner in crime, John C. Dvorak, not like it? Why does I love saying it, why does my wife not like it? Why does it not appeal to us? What is it? So instead of why doesn't it appeal, what is it that appeals to people so much that they are just, it's now at the point where their entire petitions, I think on moveon.org, to rewrite and reshoot the ending because they did it wrong or something. And, no one petitions for anything of importance, like, I don't know, what the Chinese are doing or
infrastructure.
Yeah. Anyway, another person who was a big fan is my co-inventor of podcasting, Dave Weiner. And he did a short little podcast, which I think explained entirely what kind of people like this and why. And it's a minute 30, and it's just him.
Listen.
Yes.
The ground that Game of Thrones has broken, other than just incredible attention to detail in the production and a sense of grandiosity that is like nothing ever done before, as far as I'm concerned.
By the way, you can tell who was in charge of the technology and who was in charge of the sound when podcasting was created.
The thing about Game of Thrones is that it just fucks with you. And they've been doing that ever since season 1. You go along all through season 1, you think, the main character is Ned Stark. This is the show about Ned Stark. And of course, the end of season 1, they kill Ned Stark. And it's just been one thing after another, just like that.
So I left this in to establish he's a huge fan.
Where, you just don't feel like the ground you're walking on is solid at all. And you could just never, and then they sort of throw these curveballs at you because they have such terrible writing that they put out a few mediocre shows and you think, well, these guys just, there's no point. I'm just going to go through the motions and I'm not expecting anything to happen. And they just lower your expectations all the way down to the floor, and then it's all like, we just want to do this. And so that's what we're going to do. And people get very angry about this because it's like, I don't know, it's like every time Trump does something crazy, people go, Trump's doing something crazy. Look, everybody. So you go, yeah, that's right. Well, why are you surprised? Other than, I guess there's a rush that you get, and that's the same with Game of Thrones.
It's a rush. There you go. It's Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, maybe.
It explains two things in one go. People somehow, certain people respond, a lot of people, to mediocre crap with things that turn you upside down, twist your stomach, because you get a rush from running around saying this is fucked up. That's exactly what he just said, and I think his analysis is correct.
He used the expletive properly.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
It's the only way to say it.
The first time, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's the first time. The rest is gratuitous.
First time for everything.
Now, that could be, and it may. I'd have to look at people who like the show. Are they all a bunch of Democrats?
Well, Weiner is not necessarily a Democrat. He hates Trump, but I don't think he's a Democrat. No, he's not.
He's a huge Democrat.
He's voted Republican in the past, and I know he has.
I don't care. He said he got all involved with because of Obama. Because of Obama, he's now all in on being political. He never was before, and he did a whole podcast about his change from being apolitical to political, and it was all because of Obama. And he thinks Obama's the best, and he expects great things for the country because of Obama. Obama. This was, of course, 8 or 9 years ago, and he's not. That doesn't sound like a Republican to me.
I'm not saying he's a Republican. I'm saying he's not. As far as I know, I don't see him as a Democrat. I see him someone who hates Trump. Illogically so.
Democrat.
Okay.
I'm just telling you because I heard him say it.
Okay, fine. Good. He's a Democrat. Well, but I don't think it's...
That's what... Because the reason I say that, I would think it's important, is because is it just Democrat hillbots who like this show?
No, I don't think so.
Well, so far we've got 3 of them. We got.
Come on, you're going to tell me Leo Laporte is a Democrat?
Yeah, he's a big Game of Thrones guy too, isn't he?
Yes, of course he is. All right. Let's move on to something more important. Like this China situation. Fantastic. The mainstream media, all they can talk about is, well, Google might not be able to sell the Android, can't license Android operating system to Huawei. Did they miss the executive order? Did they just miss this and not see that this is a huge deal? This could screw China into the ground? I mean, really, really screw China. Besides Huawei's phones, the networking equipment, they have laptops and computers that will no longer be allowed to run Windows. Now, they have a 90-day window that was created before Huawei's name goes on the list, but they could put anybody on the list. It's really a very, very powerful move that is being, well, of course, all the mainstream news, all they do is Trump, bar, Mueller. And you're missing the real news. This, to me, I don't know if you guys talked about it.
Explain it in some details for people.
The executive order is very detailed. Let me see if I can give you the title of that executive order. It's very detailed, but it specifically appoints the Secretary of Defense and of Homeland Security to make decisions about which companies American companies can share technology with. And a licensing of an operating system obviously would also be a share, but it's just cutting off all ties between U.S. technology companies and Chinese technology, or any Chinese company. Doesn't even have to be.
This is because the Chinese have been ripping us off.
Of course. Another thing that you didn't hear on the M5N.
An extreme.
Yes.
And why aren't they harping on this? There's this woman. I want to get her.
Let me just tell you why. Let me just tell you why. The reason why is China owns large portions of the United States government. They own the politicians. Their lobby is incredibly strong. And they own parts of Hollywood. So that's your reason why no one harps about it.
Yeah, well, probably. Good reason.
Yeah, Joe Biden's son has $1 billion hedge fund with Chinese money.
Yeah, what's he going to say?
Exactly what he said.
He said
no big deal.
China's great.
No, what was it? Hold on, let me see. I have the clip. It was Biden, China. I thought I had the clip. Maybe not. He said it was no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, please.
I have the Rosalind Layton clip. I did the whole interview with her, but I only have this 25 seconds on Huawei. Why don't you play that just as a little backgrounder?
Okay, hold on a sec. What am I looking for here? I was looking for something else.
Huawei?
Yeah, that would make sense. Oh, well, you put a space in it. Okay, I got it.
Huawei and the other Chinese firms have been allowed to get away with theft of our property. When you go do business in China with a joint venture, you have to turn over your information to them. They have a new espionage law, which basically says all Chinese subjects have to go and do espionage on their behalf. I mean, even now the case from the DOJ just released had Huawei employees would get a bonus if they'd go to T-Mobile and steal secrets.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah. They in fact, they stole the T-Mobile testing robot, didn't they?
I don't know.
Executive order on securing the information and communications technology and services supply chain. That is the executive order. It came out on the 16th of May. Have you seen anyone dissect it in the mainstream? Anyone really talk about it? No.
Play a laugh track.
Yeah. It's in the show notes. You can review it. It's a lot of legalese, but it's very clear that the executive order says, hey, it's dangerous. We can't have it. And we're not going to have it unless China shapes up. And they've been going after Huawei. Is the CFO still in custody? What's going on with her?
Yes, as a matter of fact. House arrest, I believe.
Right.
But she has at least three houses in Vancouver, and one of them is a mansion, so I'm sure house arrest is not that painful.
Just got word Sir Gene's dad is doing better.
Oh, good. Huawei.
So I think
Huawei.
I think very big deal. Already we're seeing the so-called ABC strategy being implemented by corporate America. I only learned about this myself recently. ABC means anything but China. And they're moving manufacturing, or have plans to move manufacturing, to other places in Asia.
Vietnam's a favorite.
Vietnam is big, certainly for the furniture trade.
Well, the furniture also, Crocs shoes are now made in Vietnam.
Oh my goodness, you should be getting a bonus.
I should.
And by the way, you have collector's items. You have original Crocs made in China, the good old days.
Oh my, you're right. I get you go to that trading consortium where you trade valuable shoes.
But this could also affect consumers and law enforcement. Here's a story about Chinese manufactured drones.
The ongoing U.S.-China trade war adding a new disputed item. The Department of Homeland Security warning unmanned drones made by Chinese companies could be stealing your data. This comes after the Trump administration put the Chinese tech giant Huawei on notice over national security concerns. Joining us now is Morgan Wright.
You notice that's how the executive order is discussed. Yeah, you put Huawei on notice. The whole Chinese economy is on notice with this.
A cybersecurity expert. So it's estimated that 85% of the drones in the market right now are coming from one company in China, DJI. How big of a threat do you think that is?
Well, Melissa, as we're talking right now, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, at the International Association of Chiefs of Police Law Enforcement Technology Conference, where the discussion of drones happened yesterday. They're happening today. The keynote was, and they're happening tomorrow. This is a huge issue. In fact, every agency I've talked to, almost all of them are using drones that come out of China. And so I think it's a huge issue. The Army quit buying certain brands, including Hikvision and DJI 2 years ago. It's just taken time now for the rest of the country and public safety and public sector to catch up.
And they go on to discuss that your data as to where you're flying and the video data is all essentially being, also pushed back to some cloud in China. Although you can opt out of it, they say.
Well, opt out, opt in. I'd like to see some data on this.
Oh, me too.
I want to hear from some techie that says, okay, well, I've got the drone. I'm going to watch it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. There it is. It's sending out packets.
I guarantee you someone has done. I'll get that for you.
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't looked for it, but I know it's going to be there.
I'm wondering. I'd like to see even the NSA or any government agency that has evidence that these things are phoning home. I don't buy devices to be used as spy. That's why I don't have these other things. I don't have the talking tube in the house and all these things. I don't go for that.
I don't even have a smartphone. I don't like the
idea my phone is like interrupting the computer by it's pinging something all the time. But cell tower, maybe, I don't know. It's just that I don't like these open systems. And so we bring all the stuff in from China, and they just sell the China. All they are spy devices for the Chinese. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's exactly right.
Well, how come people aren't complaining about it more instead of bitching about Barr Mueller?
Because people like drones. They like to play with them.
American companies make drones.
People like their Nest. People like their talking tubes. People think this is all good. And you and I know better. We got lucky when they threw that Kaczynski guy in jail.
Kaczynski. So anyway, this Rosalind Layton, she goes on and on with all kinds of horror stories about Huawei, and I'm going to try to get her to do an interview with her.
And I want to mention that I personally, and a lot of people with me, felt your 2-interview show, Mooch and Stoll, was extremely enjoyable to listen to.
Well, thank you.
I really liked it. I like both of them for different reasons. I thought the Mooch was, my God, Tom Starkweather did a great job on the Mooch with the sound.
Yes, he did. He had it mic'd up beautifully, and it came across. And of course, I'm using quality gear, and actually we used his side of the recording.
Ah, okay, that would make sense. Yes, very good.
And
excellent.
Yeah, that was a good interview. And if I felt it was evergreen enough, I could.
Well, now I have to do some interviews for the next time.
By the way, one thing you didn't know, I edited Well, the first thing I had to edit out the part about we're going to do this, going to run in November, and I got that nicely taken out. But Stoll, I probably spent an hour on the hour because he has these long pauses, and so I had to chop every one of them out, and it sounds really good without the pauses.
Right.
And there's other EQ problems and some other things I had to do. It came out.
It worked out well.
I was happy enough with it.
Yeah. Now I got to do some interviews for the next time. It's got to be my turn. It's about time I did some interviews. Well, maybe it'll be the new leader of the European Union, of the Council, Starfleet Command, Frans Timmermans. If he makes it, today is voting.
He's your old buddy, isn't he?
He's my old he's my old buddy.
Until you need him for an interview, and then it's going to be who?
I've already kind of gotten that. I've already sent out some feelers and sent him a DM on Twitter. Like,
is that the basketball player?
I'm getting crickets. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting crickets. Now, it is an interesting system they employ in the EU, in particular for this position. Jean-Claude Juncker, the drunker. He's leaving, and they're bringing in someone new, and this is the process known as the Spitzenkandidaten. Of course, it's a perfect German term for the EU, as it is the German Reich. Spitzenkandidaten. And I think it would be worth listening to some propaganda from Euronews, and you'll like it, because if you thought voting was complicated with the Electoral College, how it's really weird, man. It's like, it makes no sense. A vote is a vote for each person, a vote, and popular vote, and Hillary should have won. You should be pretty happy you're not living in the European Union.
Beyond the European parliamentary elections lies the battle for the EU's top job. But how is the next president of the European Commission chosen? And is the process democratic? Whoever gets the post oversees a body with responsibility for EU laws, policy.
This is one of those animated videos. I find the animation is insulting enough, but then plunk, 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 this music they put behind it is like, hey, you're a dumb child, so let me explain this really complicated process in dumb child language.
Before you go on, I find it also insulting. And the other one is it was funny once, maybe twice it was okay, but the guy drawing, the cartoons,
that's where it all started with the music.
Yeah, you draw the cartoon. He's drawing a cartoon of a house, and then a guy and a man going, "Oh my God!" and there's a rock hitting the house, and he draws the rock. I mean, it is annoying at this point. I don't want to see these anymore.
And I also will blame who's Apple's they did all the famous commercials, Apple's agency, Chiat Day. Day. They started with the bloop, 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 the strings in the Apple commercials. Remember the first ones? I'm a PC, I'm a Mac. Bloop, 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 bloop. Anyway, so that's carried over now to the European Union elections and the President of the European Commission.
Oversees a body with responsibility for EU laws, policies, and the budget. In the past, the selection procedure was seen as rather murky, described as horse trading between governments behind closed doors.
I guess it's all going to change.
This impression persisted despite reforms giving the elected European Parliament more say.
More say!
5 years ago, Jean-Claude Juncker was...
Now, does more say sound like a vote to you? Or is... just more say. Hey, what can I do? You got some more say.
Despite reforms giving the elected European Parliament more say. 5 years ago, Jean-Claude Juncker was voted in under a new system designed to be more democratic. How does it work? Now,
how does more democratic even work?
This is where it gets complicated. Before the parliamentary elections, each European political group puts forward its Spitzenkandidat, that's German for lead candidate. After the vote, the nominee from the group winning most seats is the first to be considered by national leaders in the European Council, which represents member states. Do they have to accept the Parliament's choice? In theory, no, but in practice, this candidate has a clear advantage. The EU treaty says, taking into account the parliamentary elections and after appropriate consultations, the Council elects a candidate who's then put to MEPs in the Parliament for a vote. If there's no majority, leaders in the Council have a month to propose an alternative. But the Spitzenkandidat process is under threat amid a power struggle between the European Council and the Parliament. National leaders say they don't have to go along with it. Some want it ditched altogether. The two main parties in Parliament back the system. Their nominees have been taking part in debates with other presidential hopefuls. But if the new Parliament is fragmented and there's a revolt against the lead candidate system, the new Commission boss could be an outsider. It's all to play for.
Thanks.
Thanks for nothing.
Do you understand how it works?
No.
Exactly. No wonder people stay home. Vote for that.
Well, I find it, talking about people staying home, I find it peculiar. There's this new Brexit party in the UK.
Yes, yeah, the Farage's Brexit party.
And they're taking names and kicking ass in the European elections.
Are they?
For example, how does Farage end up in the European Parliament constantly? He keeps getting voted in, but in the local elections in England, they won't vote him in for anything. Well, do they have a special qualifying election? Is a different election because the Brits take part in the EU elections.
Right. I believe the way it works is any party can stand for election in the European Union. You don't have to necessarily be in the local government. In fact, most people, if not all, of the European parliamentarians are not in local government. They're part of parties, and they can be affiliated with the governments, but it is something you vote for separately. You and I could start a party if we were of natives of a certain country in Europe, and then we could be voted in too, which is great because you get two offices, one in Brussels, one in Strasbourg. You get stipends. You can hire your families. You can do all kinds of cool stuff.
I don't know if you ever saw the special with Farage. I don't know who did it, but they have him on film, or they're taping him, and he shows the place where he works here, and then he shows the Strasbourg, and he shows the buildings,
and he shows everyone showing up to get their stipend at 9 a.m. to then leave
their money, and he goes blows past the guard who doesn't want anyone going in there, and he says, "I don't listen to him," and they go in. I mean, the whole thing is quite it's like a head shaker.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, my guy gets in, and then I'll start, and I'll just start working him, and we should be able to get him. I mean, I'm hosting the Eurovision Song Contest, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah,
I'm a contender.
You'll be famous again.
Again. Woo! Yeah.
More paparazzi.
Remember, this is a socialist deal, so you're going to get scale. Yes, you have to be scale.
Is that true?
Hell yeah, you don't get any. Of course it is. It's all public broadcast corporations.
You're talking about the Eurovision thing? You get scale for being the host?
Yeah.
You wouldn't get like 50 grand or plus?
I don't think so. I'll let you know when they call. I'll tell you what they said, what the opening offer was.
Yeah, we've heard about that guy Curry. Where is he? What's he doing now? He's what? He's a
podcaster.
He's a podcast. Yeah, he invented podcasts. You never heard that? Well, I kind of knew I don't know that I knew it, but I think I knew it. And he invented podcasting, but that's what he does?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Thanks.
It's the problem I have booking people to do for these interviews.
Yes, I know it is a problem. We need good bookers is what we need. If we get good bookers, we can do all the interviews you want. We could do a whole separate series. We just need bookers. We need people to find people for us. That's all.
Yeah.
Find them and book them.
One guy's trying, but he doesn't much.
I just wanted to interrupt maybe we're done with the European Union elections. We'll know more on Sunday. We can talk about it. Just about the Electoral College in the U.S., this is surprisingly misunderstood as of the most recent election. And,
why would they teach it in school?
I don't even know if they do anymore.
They don't.
And now, just if I asked you in 30 seconds to tell me the reason behind the Electoral College, and you've said it before, it would be
to keep a couple of large states dominating national politics,
or have the majority screw over the minority.
Yeah, which is the problem with the democracy per se.
Straight up.
Democracies per se are the tyranny of the majority. So there's no way you can't be tyrannical if it's a true democracy where majority votes. And I think Brexit the whole Brexit
yes,
stinks of that.
Well, here's another.
And it's actually, it exemplifies the problem.
Here's another example. How about the farmers in California who can't even collect their own water because the majority determined that water has to be shipped off to the cities?
Yes.
That's the same thing. That's democracy. That's how real straight-up democracy can work. And it's great if you're on the winning side of the water, not so great if you're not. But now let's listen to one of my favorite podcasts. I'm sorry, it's the Toddcast. That's right, everybody. Chuck Todd on the Toddcast. And this is just 30 seconds with Kimberly Atkins, I think. Yeah.
Honestly, the easier way, if people don't want this president in office, the better way to get him out would be to not elect him in 2020 than to try to impeach him.
I've always thought what would James Madison say if he were to come back right now and say, and sort of what argument would he make, wait for election, all this stuff. And he would say, hey, you idiots, we actually gave you a remedy. It was called the Electoral College and you chose not to use it. And that is the whole point of the Electoral College was to prevent some sort of disastrous disruptor that could totally blow up the Constitution as we know it. I
think it worked perfectly well. Toddcast.
It did prevent the situation we're talking about. This is the blindness of the left.
Exactly. Of the media. Not the left, the media.
The Electoral College. We gave you the Electoral College did its job.
Yeah.
It kept the imperious, I will use that word.
Ooh,
I like it.
Nice word.
The imperious Hillary Clinton from becoming president based on the popular vote, which was mostly letting California dominate things. The entire popular vote that she won, I don't know how many times I have to say it because people don't seem to remember, came from California. California pushed her over the top by over 4 million votes, and the amount she won on the popular vote was just 3+ million. She would have actually lost the popular vote if you took California out of the equation. And that's the reason for the Electoral College.
Thank you for teaching me a new word. Imperious, assuming power or authority without justification, arrogant and domineering. Imperious.
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it.
Imperious. You don't know the song, do you?
No, I don't. Okay. Well, not the way you're singing it.
Great Duran Duran tune.
And let's return back to the 21st century.
Yes, shall we?
So Avenatti came into the news again.
Yeah, this has been great. I'm glad you got something on this.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Well, here's Avenatti's new woes. This is a CBS report.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels made attorney Michael Avenatti a household name when he represented her in a lawsuit against President Trump.
She wants the public to know the truth.
But an indictment unsealed today alleges Avenatti stole $300,000 Daniels was owed for her book detailing an alleged affair with the president. According to court papers, Avenatti forged Daniels' signature on a letter to her literary agent and diverted her book advance into a bank account he controlled. He then alleged...
Can I just say, who is this reporting?
Oh, that's the woman on CBS is kind of bug-eyed and long-faced.
Well, she has a speech impediment. She can't say the R.
CBS seems to have more than one or two people that do that. I can't remember her name. She's a pretty good presenter. I never hated her.
No, I don't hate her.
Jeff Pegues, though.
I just find it interesting that people show up in mainstream with an obvious. To me, it's an obvious speech impediment.
Well,
she replaces the R with W's.
Play it again. I'll start listening for it. She can't say R's, is what you're thinking.
Yeah, she uses W's instead of R's.
Can you back it up and play a little more?
I'll play the whole thing.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels made attorney Michael Avenatti a household name when he represented her in a lawsuit against President Trump.
She wants the public to know the truth.
But an indictment unsealed today alleges Avenatti stole $300,000 Daniels was owed for her book detailing
I heard three. I didn't hear I heard 300,000.
An alleged affair with the president. According to court papers, Avenatti forged Daniel's signature on a letter to her literary agent and diverted her book advance into a bank account he controlled. He then allegedly used the money to pay for a Ferrari, airfare, hotels, and even payroll for his law firm. On Twitter today, Avenatti said, "No monies relating to Ms. Daniels were ever misappropriated or mishandled. I will be fully exonerated." Avenatti has also been charged with stealing from clients in Los Angeles and with attempting to extort Nike by going public with claims the shoe company was illegally paying high school basketball players. He sat down with CBS News' Jerika Duncan in March.
Did you try to extort Nike for millions of dollars?
No, and any suggestion is absolutely absurd.
Avenatti had considered challenging President Trump for the White House. He even started his own political action committee. But as his legal problems piled up, he announced he would not run in 2020. He used a third of the money he raised to pay himself.
What a slime ball.
Pay himself.
Isn't that one of the most sacred things that an attorney has is a trust account for your client, and it's like really locked down. You can't touch it.
Everything he did is illegal. It's unbelievable. Now, there was a big stink made by one of the right-wing groups, and they're talking about how the news media, and specifically, fell in love with Avenatti because he was the antidote to Trump.
And I will remind us that I said he has to be very careful because he's using the boomerang. And when you misuse the media to try and get something for yourself, just for yourself, it always comes back 10 times harder and hits you in the head. Whack.
So they've determined that, in fact, somebody did a calculation saying that media gave him $147 million worth of free publicity. And, of course, they have a tendency to do this with people. But listen to this compilation of all the media fawning and talking about this guy. This was a compilation put together by Free Beacon.
He's Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti, and Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name. That's fascinating. Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something for you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most, people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I have always said that they need a fighter. Look, I mean, we're going to continue to use the media. I think we've used it with great success.
Now, the joke is that then that was, I thought, a good compilation.
Yeah.
And the joke is that at the end of the compilation, they throw a punchline and kind of something they also caught Avenatti saying, which turns out to be the great irony. It's also might work as an ISO, but play Avenatti too.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
The View.
The View.
Wait a minute.
They all thought it was quaint.
Cute?
Oh, that's so sexy. Handcuffs.
Wow.
Yeah, we want to be handcuffed.
Yeah. Oh, The View. My goodness. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it as an end of show. But maybe without the awe. I don't know if the awe is just will leave us on a
faded out.
It'll leave us on a sad note if I leave that at the end of the show. Aw. My goodness. Well, With that, it is time to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the cuffs on Avenatti's handcuffs, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. And all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our trolls, sitting there in the troll room, doing their biz, doing it well. NoAgendaStream.com, 24/7. You got streams of shows. Great, the DH Unplugged, No Agenda show. You got Void Zero. You've got the Grumpy Benz. What am I missing here?
Hey, Grumpy Cat died.
I know, sad. Another piece of news. Grumpy Cat died. I know.
Grumpy Cat died.
Meanwhile, some actual, people died that no one gives a shit about. Who, I don't know either now.
Gives a shit about
no one gives a shit about him. Doris Day passed away.
Yeah.
We lost her. Now, do I see lots of tributes to her? No. Grumpy Cat. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I also want to say in the morning to our artists for the episode 1139. That was our interview show, the one John did and Tom Starkweather produced. Mooch and Stahl. The artwork was Citizen X. It was, I think it was an older piece that we took. We got it from the Evergreens. And it was nice. It was like a postmodern Woodstock type poster thing.
Yeah, it was a poster.
The way I look at it. It was beautiful. And so we thank you, and we thank all the artists who are always sharing their skills with us at noagendaartgenerator.com, part of our value for value system. You get out of the system what you put into it. And a lot of these artists, first they get satisfaction, fulfillment, but sometimes there's some money. It goes to noagendashop.com. It can be put on mugs and on T-shirts, and we just have a beautiful collection. And there's all kinds of ways that this art is really important to the show, and mainly for people who say, "Oh, wait, what's that new thing I'm seeing?" Ah, yes, looks like a new episode of No Agenda. One of the few podcasts who do it, adhering to the spec. And also thanks to Archduke Nussbaum for the artwork for 1138, which was, let me see, the title of that show was Pregnant Person. And Nussbaum did the dick pic, a classic, a guitar pick with the name Dick on it. Fantastic. Yes. It's not a new idea, but it worked for us. We liked it. Simple, to the point, got it. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you again, everybody. And we have 2 shows worth of support to discuss, so alert the affiliates.
Yeah, we're going to be running long. Well, starting out at the top of the list, and somebody almost beat him, but nobody did, is Sir Onimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia. This was his $1,150.
Oh, man.
Thank you, too, and the many producers that make the show the most unique, informative, broad-based collection of news information available. No Agenda, with its many open-source information websites and its producers, are the wikis of news. And, of course, Smooze of news. Smooze. Your natural cognitive dissonance disrupts the M5M, and your own differing perspective reflect a producer's real life. We both agree and disagree often. Individually, we work to resolve the noise ourselves, but your analysis has made this my first and almost only source of news. As a regular user of snail mail, I wanted to point out to John that the USPS is issuing a commemorative 150th anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railway stamp.
Oh, got to get your first day edition.
Adam, congratulations on your new home and wife. Ramadan Kareem, NJNK.
Yes, it is. Is it Ramadan is ongoing now, is it not?
I believe so.
We should say Happy Ramadan to everybody.
Happy Ramadan, everybody.
Happy Ramadan, everybody. It's fantastic. Enjoy. I love the after sunset. That's when it gets fun with my Moroccan buddies.
Benjamin Parker comes up in the list. $1,140, just short. Almost was the top guy. Well, he wasn't the top guy there, but he's definitely the top guy with a long note. As a longtime listener who has never been a producer, and a serf on the protectorate of Baron Walkman, I hereby make a preemptive contribution before being called out as a douchebag on show 1140. On this contribution, I would call out $580.08, the original boobs donation.
Ooh, it's the backwards boobs.
Yeah, it's the original boobs. Yeah, right. If you flip it over.
Yes, it's the backwards boobs.
It says boobs with an S.
If you do it on
boobs,
a calculator, this is the proper way to do it on a calculator.
Yeah, boobs. In honor of my beautiful wife and the 2 human resources.
Yes.
My beautiful wife and the 2 human resources she provides sustenance for. 558 is in honor of the matrimonial vows of Adam and the keeper. For a long time with little shape-shifting, and the remainder 1.92 is just because. I'm not sure what my actual CPM would be since I started listening. If you did actually sell out, but hopefully it brings me closer to a de-douching.
Well, I think I don't see what he's trying to do all this numerology for. Just, you deserve a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Happy to do that. Thank you so much.
Finally, here's to getting the Protectorate of Ohio positioned in Ohio instead of traveling 4 hours to Michigan all the time, so he's able to defend his territory. For jingles, it would be great if you could find any AOC clip followed by a Megatron disappointed in this generation. I think you have an ISO, or at least you used to, followed by some type of sales karma. P.S. For an interesting read, you might try to understand the split universe. I recommend the book The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt.
I've read this. It's a very good book.
He has essentially mapped 5 moral foundations, and how people fall on the moral foundations determine whether they are in universe A or B. The 5 categories are, if you care, fairness or proportionality, loyalty, or in-group. Okay, this makes no sense unless you read the book. Basically, the finding of the conversation have a balance of all 5 moral foundations. Onward.
Yeah, wait, he needs his jingles.
This is ridiculous.
Selfie.
You will not receive a selfie so long as you stand before me.
You've got karma.
There you go. Sales karma special.
Sales karma. Benjamin Doolin up there with 1139. We got a lot of big donors today.
Yes.
1139. And he, I think, sent a note in, which I have to find now.
I believe he becomes a knight today.
Yes. It's all included.
Is this Insta-Night?
I don't know that he says that. It's possible. Possible. Well, it's definitely Insta-Night in some regard. I made a donation in the amount of $11.39. This donation should be dubbed The Keeper in honor of Adam's nuptials.
Oh.
And is also divisible by 17, which is prime and my own version of 33.
Bingo.
I've listened for a long time as a douchebag, so a de-douching is in order.
You've been de-douched.
As this is my first donation, this makes me an Insta-Night. Woohoo! I would like to be known as Sir Benjamin Doolin, the poor knight of the wood. The show is great. I laugh every time John is a crotchety old fucker and Adam gets miffed about it. When does that happen?
Never. I don't know what he's talking about.
Miffed at me because of the way I sit.
What show are you listening to?
Has made my life better at times. I've had little to look forward to.
Oh.
Then there were you 2 insufferable pricks to lift my spirits.
Success.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, no. Twice a week and every Thursday. No jingles. But how about some karma for health, sales, cars and books, relationship, and for me and everyone who needs it? I like the goat scream variety with Adam's yay. If easily found. Otherwise, Adam, do your thing. Thanks, gents, for the fantastic show. Keep it up until you quit. I'll be donating again here soon, employing the value for value model to enrich me. Cheers.
Let me see if I can find what he's looking for.
You've got karma.
Yay! And then we have an anonymous donor, $519.19, which is the big-time wedding donation.
Yeah, that's a huge wedding donation. Thank you. That was $519, May 19th for our wedding date, NJNK. Thank you, Anonymous.
NJNK. Sir Dave, the Baron of Kansas City, comes in with the same thing, $59.19. Or $519.19. Sorry. Mabruk Adam or Maybrook Adam. What does that mean? Mabruk.
Mabruk?
Mabruk, Adam.
Oh,
Congrats from the lovely Riyadh. I'm sharing some of my first paycheck for my first real job since delivering pizza in college. All that army stuff for the last 28 years didn't even seem to be like a real job. A career, yes, but most of the time too much fun to be truly a job. Onward to the next chapter for both of us. Thank you for your courage.
And Mabruk is congratulations in Arabic.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, trolls.
He's Sir Dave, the Baron of Kansas City, in absentia. He's in Riyadh.
Mabruk.
Or as I used to pronounce it, Riyadh.
No agenda staple. Rydia.
Rydia. Kelly from Kenai. Sounds like Keen Eye. Kelly from Kenai. $500. This is going to be a long episode today. Kelly from Kenai. It's been a year since my last donation. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Sending a wedding gift to Adam and my support to the show, great value. I am a recruiter and always looking for candidates, and specifically dudes named Ben. Please play Nancy's Jobs, and Sharpton's Not Sure the Title. Sounds like Of Which We Know Much.
Yeah, that would be, I think that's Resist We Much is what's being requested there.
Keep up the good work.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Sir Stolkson, 36912. Great interviews. Please refer me as Sir Stolkson, Plymouth Pinellas Paladin. Been suffering from a mild douchebaggery. Apologies. Major congrats for Adam and Tina. Hope you're as lucky as I've been. 25 years last month. Douchebag check for Wyatt and his brother Dave something.
Douchebag check. No, douchebag check.
Douchebag. Something I explained. He apparently is the douchebag check guy. I initiated that long ago, but never explained well, but got a jingle. Never explained well. I know they've listened and even donated, but they may have let it go for too long a time.
That's Secret Agent Paul who did that jingle.
Oh, well.
But in response probably from a request. That makes sense.
Right. He came up with the douchebag check idea, and then the Secret Agent Paul did the jingle, which is what he says, but he got a jingle, but he never explained it. Justin Rigor in Phoenixville, Texas, 333.03. I've been a douchebag for a while, but hoping to be de-douched with this donation.
Yeah.
You've been de-douched.
Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, huh? Please keep up the best podcast in the universe. I can only tolerate the media through your expert deconstruction. Also, please play Whoop 'em with the Constitution. Thank you.
Now get out there and whoop Obama's behind.
That is our slide whistle remix. Haven't heard that in ages.
That's pretty good.
Still stands up.
David Cheney, $333. He wrote a note in saying, I forgot to leave a note with my last donation. But if it's not too late, donating brings me in. He's got his total for my knighting, and he's going to be Sir Chaotic Mass.
Oh, fantastic, Dave. Congratulations.
Please make sure to have bourbon and bong hits at the table. Oh. I sent this email earlier from my, no request for anything other than that.
I'll see you at the round table. Thank you.
Baron Walkman of Buckeye, 333 even. L Sharpton, we much. He's got some jingles you can queue up. ITM Jen says, enter the troll room.
Oh, hello, troll room.
Nobody says hi to the troll room. Congrats to the Podfather and Keeper on a successful marriage. And another note, I am forced to do this. I must call out a fellow dude named Ben, whose actual name is Ben. You, sir, are a douchebag.
Douchebag.
A douchebag for not contributing to the best podcast in the universe. I call you out, Ben, from East Canton. Bribe or chip in. Bribe or chip in. I assume you want to bribe Baron Walkman. Or chip in, and I'll name you a sheriff as a sheriff. Okay. Some promises there.
All right. Thank you, Baron Walkman of Buckeye.
But resist, we must, and we will much about that be committed.
I'm Joe Biden, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
You've got karma.
Those were his jingles.
John Sponheimer, $300. And by the way, I want to mention to people out there, because this is a little lengthy, this is for 2 shows.
Yes, so people do understand. But there's fun content in here as well.
Adam, DominionLeather.com, your friendly handmade leather BDSM bondage online Etsy store from Houston, wants to wish you all the best in the future you have embarked on with Miss Tina the Keeper. Now that I think about it, the Keeper might need some new gear to help keep you. Have her hit me up for some appropriate gear.
Gear.
In all seriousness,
Let me take
I
a
have
look.
been a listener since somewhere in the single digits and have donated once or twice as my alter ego. I felt I needed to step up and get a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Like family, we may not always agree, but you have my undying support in what you and John do. I confess I only have one serious love in my jingle life, and that is the little girl, yay.
Oh, well, we got that.
Yay!
I was looking at the store.
Yeah, I bet you were. Onward. Jonathan Jobin.
Nice colors.
$235.
Yeah.
We're on to associate executive producers. This donation brings me to knighthood in honor of my 33rd birthday today on 5/23. Here's a donation of $235. It brings me to knighthood. I'm from Switzerland, and I've decided listening to No Agenda in 2015 when I started listening in 2015 while I lived in Vancouver, BC. I since moved to the U.S. and I now live in New York.
Oh.
With No Agenda on my by my side, I was able to not fall prey to the local madness of the media here and keep my sanity and help my wife keep hers. I'm fully convinced that listening to No Agenda makes my life better, and I thank you both for that. Call out to anyone working in visual effects who hasn't donated yet. Don't be a douchebag. Sometimes it looks like almost everyone in this line of work are crazy liberals, believing every word out of John Oliver or Stephen Colbert's mouths.
By the way, there was that report that said that Colbert that Jon Stewart quitting the Daily Show helped Trump get elected. Did you see that? It was
no.
It was an official study. It was published on some sites, but was retracted because they made a mistake in the math. Because I follow this Retraction Watch website for all the peer-reviewed science that is retracted, which is quite a lot, I might add. And
way too much.
And the original not enough really. The original claim was that Jon Stewart quitting the Daily Show had at least helped Trump by 1% in getting elected. And then someone saw that they had miscalculated the mean or something. They'd done something wrong. And it turns out that Jon Stewart and John Oliver and The Daily Show and Stephen Colbert have absolutely had zero influence on Trump being elected. And I don't know which is worse for them. I bet they were at home like, man, I'm important. And now it didn't matter one bit.
That's because they preach to the choir.
Yeah. It was just
really what it amounts
interesting
to.
that study was retracted.
Yeah, well, it's still out in the public domain and it'll be believed.
Oh, yeah, the people will believe it, sure.
Okay.
He says, thank you for your courage. Congratulations to Adam and
John
Tina.
Oliver's Colbert, but I'm sure there's a few of us that are listening to the best podcast in the universe. Donate today. For a title, I'd like to be Sir Jobin of the visual effects. Can we please add cheese fondue and raclette to the round table?
Yeah, that cheese fondue and raclette. What is raclette?
The raclette is that where they have the cheese on it's heated on the wheel or something, and you scrape it off the wheel as kind of like hot. It's just, you've seen these things. Believe me, you've seen it. Look it up.
All right.
Good cheese is needed, and the Dutch aren't really helping us with that. Sorry, Adam.
All right.
Well, Swiss manufactured cheese is it's probably third in the world after, and maybe fourth after French. I'd say number one. Italian would be number two, and then the Spanish I would give three.
Well, the Dutch are what? They're just whale shit. Where are the Dutch?
The Dutch would be down under after the Swiss. Wow. So they'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How about Wisconsin?
20. The Chinese make better cheese. Actually, no, they're pretty good. But
hey, wait. Do the Chinese make cheese?
Well, no.
Oh, okay. Well, you said that.
They don't like dairy products. They're not big dairy eaters. Anyway, thanks for your courage and aggression. Now, he also wanted to ask for 2 jingles.
Yeah.
Yoko Ono's The Great Gig in the Sky, and listen to that. Well, is that what he said? I got this note here.
Yeah, and listen to that horn.
Yeah, listen to the horn. Yeah.
That's Foamer. Yeah, I can play those.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
You've got karma.
Yeah, we should discuss cheese more on the show.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, cheese is tasty. Jeffrey Breyer, $207.64. Adam, congratulations to you and the keeper on your marriage, and I pray for many years of happiness for you both. Thanks to both of you and John for being the only place to get an honest look at the news. It's true.
That's true.
Throw some karma towards yourselves. Keep up the great work.
Now, I'm a little surprised you didn't mention that I threw that into my vows.
I didn't mention because you needed to remind me. So in the middle of the vows, Adam says, that's, the back and forth. I should mention this. I recorded the entire thing.
Yeah, no one has that but you. We wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah. I know. Now it's like valuable. I recorded. I noticed I was looking for some snapshots for the newsletter, and I realized that I didn't make any. I just took nothing but videos.
Well, the picture you used for the newsletter was not appreciated by my wife.
What did I say?
No, it was the picture. It was just, it was of Ellen reading, but it wasn't cropped. And so, you got the officiant picking his nose, it's just a weird shot. It was not a great shot, but
it was that's what I was just about to say. I'm looking for snapshots that I can use in the newsletter, and I realized all I did was take videos. Really? Video of you cutting the cake. I got a video of this one video after another. I said, holy crap. And so I found that one picture. And I did crop it because I was using a super wide angle lens, so it was cropped. And yes, I left the guy picking his nose because it was funny. And I thought she would be irked about my commentary that I wrote underneath the picture as the caption.
No, yes, that was irksome too.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway,
she knows the biz.
Yes. Well, now that she's part of the enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's true.
And so he throws in the middle of the ceremony, he as part of his nuptials,
vows.
He in the voice, he goes, "That's true."
That's why I want to see it.
Looking into the audience when he does.
I turned my head too. I totally threw it like, hold on, that's true. Come on, people were laughing who didn't know what the hell it meant. That's how good the timing was.
Almost everybody in that group. Anyway, so that was funny. You're right. So what does Jeffrey? Does Jeffrey get he's going to give him something here? Does he need give him a karma towards yourselves? Yeah, we need a karma.
You've got karma.
Down at $200 with Sir Tim of the Tunnels, who writes $200. He says, I just want to congratulate Adam and Tina again. Kudos to John for calling out producers on the Twitters. I'm not sure what I did, but I did something. May peace from above rest upon you and remain with you now and forever and such. I do a prayer.
That gives me a kick and such.
It's funny. Sir Tim of the Tunnels. Yeah, that concludes our list of producers, executive producers, and associate executive producers for show 1140. I want to thank each and every one of them for really helping get this show.
It was great. It's been a tough month.
The fact that we didn't do a show last Sunday.
Yeah, well, we did do a show, which took actually more time than probably the show usually takes.
It does.
To put it, the actual production part. Yeah,
it takes because it's posted. This is the beauty of the regular show.
Yeah, we're done and we're done. On to the next one. Yes, exactly. Well. On behalf of the show and the enterprise, the Value Network here in Austin and the Keeper, I would say, thank you for supporting the work. We do, pretty much continue working throughout anything in our lives, one way or the other. That's why the honeymoon will be filled with shows from the road, European flavor and such. But also just understanding how the value system works with all the deplatforming going on. I think we chose a very smart path. It's not an easy one, but it is our show together, and we are making it work into our 11th season now. And thank you for all of your courage. And remember, we'll be back here on Sunday to do it all over again with more deconstruction, and you can support the work at
Dvorak.org/NA.
And we've got a lot more coming up. Just remember, it's all here. It's a formula. Propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
That's true.
Shut up, slave.
I want to do it. I'm sorry?
I should clarify something. So I use jargon, and I really try not to.
Oh.
When I say, because people wonder, I don't know what that means. When I say it's posted, I mean it's post-produced. Posted is just the short version of when we say
okay.
Post, posted. It's posted. It means that you post-produce. It means you do the show after you've done you create the material, and then you put the show together, and you do the editing, and you tweak it, and you do the sound, you compress, you do all these things after you've done it. And that is the way most people, for some reason, and a lot of podcasting schools teach this.
Well, I will tell you the reason why. The reason why is that people did not have the equipment available to them. It's still really not readily available in a form that makes sense. There's no, hey, here's your box to do your great voice and podcasting. Well, yeah, it's the Roadcaster, a ripoff. That's a story for another day. So people started post-processing to make it sound good. And I will tell you that I believe it's probably a good 80%, maybe even higher, maybe even 85, 90% of all podcasts are done in post-production mode. If these people would take the time to learn how to do it in real time and, send me an email. I'll tell you what gear to get.
I mean, Horowitz does it in real time. He's a stockbroker.
The show, money manager. The show,
money manager.
Your show will be better. It's just I hear the love and the spontaneity chopped out of so many podcasts. Hey, Joe Rogan does it all live. It's a great podcast. I don't think he's sitting around chopping up stuff.
No.
Just let it flow and don't worry about your flubs. It makes you human.
But you got to make it sound good at the
It has to sound
like
good.
The Dave Weiner clip.
Well, that doesn't really bother me. That's just podcasts are only like 2 minutes long, so it's not a problem. But if you're going to listen to something for any length of time, yeah, you might want to consider that.
But the post production, and this is the thing that I like about it the most, besides the fact that you're done, is that it gets another use of the word posted. It gets posted as a finished product for people to download within an hour, as opposed to one of the shows that Unfiltered show used to be posted. It was post-produced, and it would take them days to get the show out.
Oh, hell yeah. I used to do television shows. It would take 2 days of editing. And then we started to do them live, and it was the best thing ever. You start at 7 p.m., you're done at 10 to 8. Go home. Nothing left to do. And have a meeting the next day when the ratings come out. That was lovely. I want to talk about the deplatforming that's happening and where it's leading, and I'm actually very positive about some things I've been noticing over the past week. And the deplatforming, again, from, yes, there are people in these companies, in Google and Facebook and all, and Twitter, and there's lots of people who will tweak the algos, push someone off. There's hate, and of course, it's what happens in companies with lots of employees. There's people who, like who we've discussed on the show, whose job it is, they're contractors, and they listen to stuff and say, yeah, maybe, I don't know, send it off, send it to the algo again. But really, most of it is just to keep brand safe content on these platforms. And by brand safe, these days, that means nothing controversial. So they don't really even want their ads anywhere near anyone who, for an example, would talk about InfoWars or Alex Jones. And it's all for the advertisers. There's always political bias, but the political bias starts with God, the American God, the advertiser. And that's where the bias is. So if you really want to change that, you need to go after all advertisers. But everyone's too chicken shit. They won't do that. But other things are happening. Just to add some color to this, Laura Loomer, who was deplatformed very early on, was on with Alex Jones. There's a documentary coming out about the people who have been deplatformed. May even be out. I saw the trailer for it. I'm not going to play it for you. It's all very dramatic. Oh, they're taking away our free speech. Yeah, so horrible. They're censoring us. And I don't buy into that. We don't need YouTube, Google, Twitter. We don't need that. We've been functioning. We've worked very, very hard at it and been doing it for a long time and very consistently on Thursdays. And we're alive and we're doing it. This hysteria is concerning, but it is also driving something positive, which I'll explain after we listen to Laura Loomer and her plight on the Alex Jones show.
Well, I wish that he would do something. Like I said, I confronted Congress, and when Jack Dorsey was testifying in September, and I begged President Trump, I begged him to do something before it was too late. And that was when I still had access to my my Twitter account, right? But I was mocked. Right? Look at that asshole, Billy Long in Congress. It's mocked me and called me crazy. But what are they doing? I want to know what people are actually going to do. My life is ruined. Does anybody understand how ruined my life is? I'm sick of it. I don't want to listen to people tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist. They don't know what it's like to be me. My life is ruined, Alex. Okay, he's concerned about it, but that's not going to stop the fact that I've lost 90% of my income. That's not going to stop the fact that I literally can't make a living anymore, even though I have a degree. I was valedictorian in college. I graduated top of my class in my journalism program, and I'm sick of it. I'm fighting harder than most conservatives. I'm fighting harder than anybody, and I'm being destroyed, and they mock me, and they say I'm some crazy conspiracy
Well, that's what happens, Florida leaders, so I hear you.
That's what happens to the leaders. That's right. They get them going first, them leaders. Hey, first of all, there's plenty of things you can do. Consider webcam work. There's tons of stuff you can do. But that's mean.
Nice.
I know it's a mean joke. I didn't really mean that. But look, I'll tell you. If I lost 90% of my income, I'd be on the webcam so damn fast your head would spin.
I'd do it after we saw you.
I do whatever I have to do to keep alive and support my family, as I have done in the past. I work for MTV. It says enough to what levels I stoop to. But the deplatforming is driving incredible innovation and re-innovation. And I'll explain it. Most of the companies that we use and believe we can't be without, and we're hooked. A lot of people are very hooked, particularly on Gmail. I want to remember to say something about Gmail in a moment. They are built on open source. And open source that they take and add to, and when they add to under the particular licenses, they also have to publish the changes they've made. And this is how we get things like the Chromium browser, which is open source. But there's other, even just the web servers, the underpinnings, the technology. It's really out there. It's available. And what no one ever thinks about is, what if a bunch of people who weren't necessarily funded by VC, or if they really, they're like, this big money scheme. But what if it's just people who are just kind of interested in creating or recreating technology that everybody can use, that is not controlled and not spying on you? And Laura Loomer is actually on Gab, gab.com. Gab is a competitor to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and with search to some degree to Google, but not really. But they're a social network, and they have very stand-back rules. You can do really pretty much whatever you want as long as it's within the constitutional definition of free speech, which means there are some limitations about threatening language, etc. And it's a competitor to these companies, and people are on it.
Mostly Twitter.
Yeah, but people are on it, and they're using it. And
I have an account. I've been on and off it.
Yeah. Now, but what they did is they took the open source version of the Brave browser, which we have raved about before. Brave has its own, they're a real commercial company. They've got huge funding.
It's the guy one of the early Mozilla guys, who was rousted.
Yep.
From Mozilla for sexual harassment or something.
No. He gave money to an anti.
Oh, right. It wasn't even sexual harassment. He gave money. Oh my God! He gave money to a Republican.
And it was to a group who was petitioning against same-sex marriage. That was a true offense.
Oh, that was
horrible offense. So you can't do that.
Send him to hell.
So they took the Brave browser, stripped out all the crap, and Brave is also, I think, I don't know if it's based on. Yeah, I think it's based on Chromium. Took out a lot of the things that were just heavyweight, and added in their dissenter, which is, I think we've discussed this before. It's a little button, and anywhere that any website, any page you're on, you click that button, and you have your own. You can start your own comment thread. So really, it's kind of what Disqus should have done, but instead of Disqus or Discuss is a commenting system that works on a website. This works within your browser. So you can go around and you can have conversations. And of course, you can also shadow that to Gab so that you have a record there. But it's a very interesting way of conversing. But this browser is finally what I would call the people's browser. It is so lightweight. It is so fast. It kicks Brave's ass 1,000,000 times over. It is faster than any other browser I've run on Windows, certainly on the Mac.
What are you talking about?
The Dissenter browser that Gab made. They made a browser. They took the open source of all these...
I was confused.
I'm sorry. They took the open source code of all these douchebags, and I'm saying the Brave guy's douchebag, not really douchebags, but... and said, screw it, we're going to make the people's browser, and we're going to take out all the spying, block all the things you don't want to have, make it super fast, lightweight, and they succeeded, and it is a fantastic product. You should not use any other browser than this, in my opinion. And these guys are also...
Where do you get this browser?
Gab.com/download. In addition, they're also talking about forking, because that's what it is. You fork, you take the open source project and create a new project from it. It's completely legal. It's like, I'm going to fork it. I'm going to create my own side project. It's the way open source was meant to be. And they're going to do that to Keybase. And Keybase is probably the largest repository of identity. So secure, like my encryption key, my public key. That is identity, a true identity in the crypto world, and the way it was kind of intended originally on the internet. They're talking about forking that and turning that into a real consumer-facing business that not just techies and people who understand how to do encrypted email. They'll make it simple. And they haven't really shown a business model yet. I'm not quite sure exactly where they're going to go. I would donate money to them hand over fist as much as I could to support this. But I think we are going to see the more deplatforming takes place, the more people are moving towards these platforms. And a tipping point is coming. Not for Google. Google has other issues. They're tied into the spy apparatus, so it's that's their whole origin. So it's kind of hard to remove them. But if I tell you that you go to google.com/purchases, you should try this, John. Google.
I did.
Okay. And what did you see?
I got 5 purchases that weren't made by me. I don't know who did them. I never got charged for them. 1 purchase by me and the rest nothing.
Hey, I have the same. I actually have
the bogus purchases from someone that's not even you.
No, I did not get bogus. It's actually myaccount.google.com. Here's what I have on mine: 100 gigabytes of Google every month. I purchased a Surface dock, which I didn't buy through. I bought it from the Windows Store, the Microsoft Store. Something for my hearing aids, and really
more. I only had 1 legitimate.
And so none of these things I purchased through Google. And the way they do it.
I agree. The one that they showed up for me was from Amazon, but it was only one thing. And I buy like probably 20 things a month from Amazon for the last since 2000 whatever, at least 10 years. And there was just one. So I'm not freaked out about this because it's like it doesn't work.
And the reason why is squirrel mail. Google collects this purchase information by going through your Gmail and pulling out receipts.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have access to squirrel mail.
But so whoever thinks this is a good idea and that they're only doing it with receipts, you need to check yourself.
You having an affair, pal?
Google knows.
Screwed.
Google knows.
Yeah, Google knows. And one of these days, hey, buddy, this is kind of interesting. I wonder if your wife wants to see this email of yours. It's one step away.
I love that email.
It's a blackmailing operation.
No, I love the email. Yeah, I hacked your webcam. I saw what you were doing watching that porn. Send me a Bitcoin or I'm going to release the video.
I think, did I ever get one of those?
Tina got one the other day.
She did?
Yeah, I'm like, shit, let's see the video. Send it over.
Let's see the video.
But there's lots of things that are backfiring. And, just to wrap this up, the internet is not these companies. Legislating them, as long as they're legislating these companies, I don't care what they do. Do whatever you want. They're completely unimportant to what we're doing. And, depending on how 5G is rolled out, you're going to be okay not using these services. Which brings me to 5G. Very interesting. T-Mobile, they are still waiting for regulatory approval to purchase Sprint. And the reason they want to purchase Sprint is for their towers mainly. But John Ledger did a video, which I won't bore you with, but it was the T-Mobile commitment. And the T-Mobile commitment is to rolling. If you approve this for us, if you approve this merger, we commit to rolling out 5G broadband, rural areas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they published the documentation, which I was very interested in. Now, just so you know what they're really talking about, doesn't seem as spectacular as the promises that are being made in the media. Now, AT&T has a little different story, but for T-Mobile, they promise they will blanket up to 90% of the country's population with mid-band spectrum and 100% of the country's population with low-band spectrum 5G, which will result in Americans receiving speeds in excess of 100 megabits per second within 3 years of closing. Within 6 years of the merger's close, the applicants commit to deploy a 5G network with low-band coverage of at least 99% of the population, mid-band 90%, with speeds between 450 megahertz and 1.5 gigahertz, but that will really only
You said, yeah.
What did I say?
Well,
450 megabits per second
You said megahertz.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I'm reading the document. And that's the interesting part. So
the document says that?
No, I was reading ahead. I'm multitasking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm also rolling a spliff. It's a whole bunch of things going on here. So what I was interested in is what frequencies they're going to use. It's one, and I understand the 5G protocol much better now. I'll get to that in a second. But the actual transmitters that T-Mobile is talking about, I'm less worried about than what AT&T is talking about, because they're talking about mid-band, which is in the 5 to 6 gigahertz range, which is your Wi-Fi. This is where the problem comes into play. There's a whole lot of people using this, they call it the unlicensed spectrum, that these phone companies now want to start using, and because of the protocol of how they can slice frequencies and basically use the same frequency as, for example, your Wi-Fi, but it wouldn't interfere with each other. Yeah, right.
Well, Wi-Fi itself has a number of channels, so you can do that.
Yeah, but we're talking a lot more. The 5G protocol is really splitting this up much more than Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi is at 2.3, so anything.
But everyone's now fighting over this because the smart meters are going to run into trouble. Smart meters are on these frequencies, which we're not against. We don't like these smart meters at all. There's weather forecasting sensors. There's all kinds of issues that come down to this to these frequencies. But what I found interesting is that in the open document that T-Mobile published, they've redacted the frequency that they're going to be on. They say mid-band, so I can only assume it's going to be between 5 and 6 gigahertz. But everywhere... sorry?
If you're thinking of it, the real bandwidth of the potential, which includes terahertz waves...
It's got to be there, yeah.
It's got the mid-band could be 500. You don't know what mid-band is. When you keep reading mid-band, I just keep hearing blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'll tell you... Let me read you the sentence with the redacted. 5G sites nationwide, an average of, that's the bandwidth, that's the band, an average of redacted megahertz of low band and mid band 5G spectrum. So they're not even telling us how wide the spectrum is that they're going to use. But everywhere you go down further, here it is. This is what they expect to do. Applicant plans for new T-Mobile home internet. And this is really where this is going. This is what AT&T wants to do, what T-Mobile wants to do. Will break the mold for in-home broadband, as described in applicant's filing. The new T-Mobile home internet will provide minimum speeds of 25 megabits per second downlink, 3 megabits per second uplink, more than fast enough for streaming 4K Ultra HD video. Provide average speeds above 100 megabits per second. But again, it's every single frequency. They redacted the frequency, but they didn't list the frequency in gigahertz, but in megahertz. So it would have to say 6,000 megahertz, which would be 5 gigahertz. But it's all redacted, so we don't really know the frequencies they're going to be on. But my point is this:
maybe they don't know themselves.
It's also possible, but they talk about.
It's also possible that there's a bidding war coming up, and they don't want anyone to know what they're going to be bidding on.
I think that is because this is the unlicensed spectrum, as they call it, which is not entirely true. I think that's why they're being cagey about it. But this took me into the protocol itself, and this is very interesting because we talk about 5G. Is it just the transmitters? Is it just the frequency? No, it's really the protocol, and they're now at this. I think the 16th version of it, as it's being rolled out. This thing is essentially a prioritization system. It is the opposite of net neutrality. The complete opposite. It gives high priority to some media, lower priority to lower latency applications, high priority to self-driving cars, high access priority to Internet of Things. It is the exact opposite of net neutrality. It is complete prioritization of everything at the whim of whoever is running this network. Something you don't hear anyone talking about.
Because nobody knows what they're doing.
Now, AT&T is doing the high frequency to the home, that'll be on the poles outside, whereas T-Mobile, I think, is kind of...
You don't want that.
No, that's exactly what we don't want. But for sure, this is the network itself is not going to be one you really want to be connected to. You want to connect to the internet. I don't think you want to connect through this 5G protocol, which will downgrade anything that is not explicitly promoted and sanctioned within the system, within the network.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Which brings me, since we're talking about this sort of thing, I do want to talk about the home plug.
Yeah, is your power line, is that what's cutting out on the show all the time?
I'm not hooked to that.
Oh, okay.
The power line thing, I probably wouldn't be cutting out. The way I was cutting out on was a straight from the router, gigahertz. How that's cutting out is beyond me.
That's hot.
What I'm on now is a high-frequency wireless Comcast connection.
No.
Home plug is used for various reasons. It's the best way to get to isolate back of the house long distance stuff without pumping up the Wi-Fi and just
you already went through this, right? Are you going to redo the whole thing?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. Well, no. Somebody wrote in saying they want to know the details because I went through it, just in general, but I didn't talk about the gear.
Oh, right. Right. Good.
So there's two pieces of gear that I bought, and they both run simultaneously in parallel, not interfering with each other, because one's coming off of one line, one's coming off the other. The cheap one is the Tenda AV1000. And by the way, these are cross-compatible. Anything home plug compatible works with each other. They have different speeds. The AV1000 is a gigabit product. It's the cheapest thing, and it's $37.99. And I sent you, I don't know if you ever ordered one, but I sent you the details on that one. That's the one I wanted you to test against the ham radio.
It's on order.
The other one, which I have, which is a more elaborate one, is cost $42.99, which is, and these are, by the way, they come in pairs. So you buy the Tenda 1000, it's just plugs in the wall. You stick a connection from your router into it, and then you pair the two by pushing a button, and the two devices. Then you take the other device, you unplug it from the wall, keep the one plugged in where your router is, and then put the other one anywhere you want in the house, and then the line will be going down to that over the home power lines. The TP-Link AC750 is a little more elaborate because it is it's got a pass-through, which I kind of recommend, which means there's a plug in the front that matches the plug in the back, so you don't waste the plug. You know, a pass-through is you got a socket in the device itself. It's a 750 protocol, which is 750 megabits per second. It's still compatible. But this one is interesting because you get the pair, and the one that goes by the router is just similar to the rest of them. It's got a pass-through plug. And then the other one, after you pair it and put it someplace in the house, the other one got three Ethernet ports coming out of it. You sort of straight wires to three devices, and you can turn on a Wi-Fi hotspot if you want. And the Wi-Fi hotspot will reflect the supposedly, although I don't believe this is quite true because I've played with it, but supposedly it reflects the exact functionality of the router. So whatever your password is, it should be the same.
Oh, that's cool.
And that one is $42.99. I don't know which is the two I would recommend. I like the idea of the pass-through socket. The Wi-Fi I don't need. I like three ports. The TP-Link doesn't have quite the speed, but it's not important. These things, Home Plug does have ones that run at 2 gigabits per second, which I find to be at least unusable, and you can't get to that number. I have not done a lot of testing of the connections, what the speeds are using any of the.
It's definitely better than it used to be. I've used those, and it was not a good experience. So I'm just waiting for mine to arrive.
That's what I felt. In fact, I talked to Dave Foley was at the
ceremonies.
Wedding, is a Grand Duke, and he's working on 8K stuff. For television, he said, I asked him, of course, the first question you ask a guy when talking about that, what bandwidth do you need to get an 8K stream? 20 megabits per second will do it. But he was talking about the same thing, which is the original of these things. They didn't work.
No, they sucked. They sucked.
They couldn't hold the signal. These new ones, they're fantastic products.
Man, we are just a product review show today. This is fabulous.
Product reviews. People want to know these things.
Yeah. Well, you kind of repeated everything you said on the last show.
I didn't talk about the brands. I didn't talk about the pass-throughs. I didn't talk about the port numbers. I didn't talk about the Wi-Fi extension.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Anyway, but there it is.
On to vaccines.
You sure want to go to vaccines right now?
Yeah, I got a series of clips. You want to do something else?
Well, I wanted to do the vaccines after, because I do have a couple, because I took over since you dropped the ball.
Okay, what did I drop the ball on this time?
The Genova guy on the Huckabee show.
Oh, Joe DeGenoa.
Yeah, DeGenoa, that's guy.
Yeah.
And so I saw him again. I said, okay, this guy's getting on my nerves.
No, I didn't drop the ball. You're poaching in my turf is what's going on here.
Poaching. Okay. Well, you could say that. I think that's legit. So I poached the clip, and I thought I'd play it.
Bob Woodward, who's no Trump fan, for sure, and certainly not a card-carrying member of the Republican National Committee, basically was saying this was the work of John Brennan.
Well, there's no doubt this is pretty simple stuff for career prosecutors like Rudy and myself. It has been evident from day one that there was a brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and then if she lost the election, to frame Donald Trump. This dossier was a knowing part of that. It was created by Hillary Clinton. It was created knowingly by John Brennan.
So at what point did you not hear me play this clip on the previous show?
Oh, okay.
Here's my clip.
Bob Woodward, who's no Trump.
See, it's the same damn clip, Dvorak. That's what you get for poaching. All right, I'll do an entremont, then I'll get into vaccines. Sheryl Sandberg, very famous for her book Lean In, and it started a movement, and women were leaning in, and women were saying enough of this, and hashtag Me Too started, and it was like, hey, we're done. And by the way, no disagreement from this show about sexual harassment whatsoever, but sometimes things backfire and they go too far. Of course, it's our fault. It's men's fault. It's everything that's happening to women is our fault, particularly old straight white men. And she was on
the patriarch.
And she was on CNBC to talk about a very complicated result of the Lean In Me Too movement.
You are straight off the stage where you were just talking about Lean In and a new study you've just released indicating that women are actually having less access to mentorship and to their bosses than they were even a year ago. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's really important. So today we just released a Lean In SurveyMonkey study that shows that 60% of male managers in the United States are afraid to do a one-on-one activity with a woman, including having a meeting. I mean, can you believe that? 60%. A senior man is 9 times more likely to hesitate to travel with a woman and 6 times more likely to hesitate to have a dinner with a woman. And the problem with that is women already weren't getting the same mentorship that men were, particularly women of color. And no one's ever gotten a promotion without getting a one-on-one meeting. And so I think men and women need to be able to travel together. They need to be able to go to meetings together, go to meals together. All of that can be done in public spaces. But those one-on-one conversations, and if there's a man out there who doesn't want to have work dinners with a woman, then he shouldn't have work dinners with a man. You know, group lunches for everyone, if that's how they feel.
It seems like the movements of the past year or so, the Time's Up movement, Me Too, have actually had real negative implications for many women in the workplace. What's your message to corporate America about this?
So I don't believe they've had negative implications. I believe they're overwhelmingly positive because half of women have been sexually harassed. But the thing is, it's not enough. It's really important not to harass anyone, but that's pretty basic. We also need to not be ignored. And so my message is if we want to change workplace dynamics, you know where the least sexual harassment is? Organizations that have more women in senior leadership roles. And so we need to mentor women. We need to sponsor women. We need to have one-on-one conversations with them that get them promoted. This number's moved up Last year, it was 46% of men were afraid to have that one-on-one meeting. Today, it's 60. Both are totally unacceptable.
I find this so sad that this is her own survey. Her husband, who died in Mexico on the treadmill, he was the majority shareholder, I think, of the Survey Monkey. So it's her. It's arguably she's one of the largest shareholders. This is exactly this is the unintended consequences of people who think they know what policy is. This is why when the Federal Reserve raises or lowers, they don't know what that do. No one knows what's really going to happen. There's too many factors in the world. But to not be honest with yourself and say, thank you. To not be honest enough to say, hey, we took it too far because people were getting trashed, careers ruined. Many, correctly so, but a lot not.
Many under false accusations or setups. In fact, you mentioned the situation at Kleiner Perkins.
They tried to set me up.
Women there that was obviously one of these sharks that was working there, and she was looking to get you to say something or do something. You should tell that story again because it's quite interesting. Because these people are out there.
She was a receptionist at Kleiner Perkins, a big investor in my company at the time, and there'd been I guess it was a party, a Kleiner party or something. Anyway, I got a call from Ray Lane. He says, did you suggest to go smoke illegal drugs and take mushrooms with her? I said, what are you talking about? No, she said that. I turned around, and that, by the way, that was at the reception desk when she said that. There was all these things, and she had implicated 5 senior partners at Kleiner Perkins. And it turns out she'd been doing this at other companies, which is very interesting about their hiring practices. I don't know how they check stuff.
Well, you can't. That's the other thing. You can't really check things anymore because it's illegal to say anything bad about someone. We're talking about California here.
Yeah,
that's where most of these things take place. I took the training, you never did, by the way, at Mevio about sexual harassment. And I took the training showing all the kinds of lawsuits. You can be sued for making a pass that a girl doesn't even work at your company if she's walking past the building outside. It's unbelievable. This is discouraging. What Sheryl Sanders is moaning and groaning about
Sandberg.
is part of the system. If women expect that they're going to get any further because the system has been set up by mostly the courts, I don't even blame the women for this. It's ruinous.
Oh no, I'm not saying the women are to blame. I'm saying the veracity which this was picked up and going after people and spreadsheets of people and trying to out people for all. Hey, everybody who has any kind of corporate interest, like, I'm going to stay away. I'm not going to take the risk.
I'm not taking. Why take a chance?
And that's on you, Sheryl Sandberg. That's on you.
Why take a chance? You want me to go? I'm not even standing with it. I'm not going to go out and have a dinner with some employee because I want to do some mentoring. No, I'm just asking to get sued.
So very disturbing that she does not see this, and because now the problem is it's beyond the court system. It has become a social thing. This guy looked at me funny. He said my hair looked nice. Rah!
That's my hair looks nice. That's right.
That's the society. That's the society we live in.
They do that.
So congratulations on that. And I feel horrible for women. This is completely shit. Because this is exactly what you did. It's the same thing with trans, male to female, transgender, trans. I think I'm trying to get the language right so I don't get excoriated in women's sports. Who gets screwed over? Women.
Oh, that women's sports thing is a disaster.
Sure.
Yes, I agree. Who gets screwed over? People who get screwed over are women.
Yes.
Not somebody who's become a woman or someone who identifies as a woman who doesn't even do anything. There's plenty of those types. They're not even transgender. They're just, I've decided I'm a woman. And then they say, I'm going to go play women's sports. And then because of this catch-22 we've created for ourselves, you have to let them. Well, now they're playing competitive sports.
And if you're Martina Navratilova, and you say, hey, this is bull crap, you're kicked out of society. Get out of the group, you crazy woman. In the meantime, we have these insane laws. You can't even think abortion, which rightly so. Women are protesting and saying, "Hey, it's my body. I'll do what I want." Now, I don't want to go into this deep into this, but I certainly agree that if you find out you're pregnant, you should be able to change that situation. Now, if you're waiting 6 months, I have a different feeling about it, but. Certainly, my body, you can't tell me what you can do with my body, which drives me nuts.
Really?
Yeah, you can. Which drives me...
Very funny. Really?
Really what?
Vaccine police?
This is where I was going. Thank you very much. This was my bridge to vaccines. And that is what is so disturbing. Is stay off of my body. Men can't make decisions for my body, but when it comes to vaccines, shoot it into my kid's body. I'm all for it. Robert Kennedy Jr., branded an anti-vaxxer. John, you and I are semi-vaxxers. We've been vaccinated. We believe in certain vaccinations, but not the two.
I have a smallpox vaccine.
Not the almost 300 vaccines that are now on the slate. So this is multiple clips. RFK Jr.'s voice affliction has gotten better. He's much more understandable. I'm happy for him because now he was outside, I guess the Capitol in Albany, New York, and it's in the show notes. You need to watch the whole thing for all context. But he mentions multiple facts which you can look up that I think are very important. Just for our own group, for our own producers, for yourself. And I want to play these. It's, most of them are about a minute long, but it's, there's 5 of them. So it's going to take a few minutes here, but I think it's worth it. Otherwise, it wouldn't bore you. So on the show, we've discussed many times that the companies who make vaccines are indemnified. You cannot sue them. When did all of the problems start with children's health? It started in 1989, and here's the history as delivered by Kennedy Jr.
The vaccine industry, when I was a little boy, was $270 million. I got 3 vaccines, and I was fully compliant. Today, it is a $50 billion industry. It's 20% of pharmaceutical revenues today. But that's at the front end. At the back end are all the chronic diseases that FDA says we think they are associated with vaccines. 150 injuries that are now listed on the product inserts. And the reason they're listed on the product inserts is because FDA has made a determination that those injuries were more than likely caused by the vaccines. This is the chronic disease epidemic that Dell was referring to. I have 6 kids. If you're my kid, I had 11 brothers and sisters. I had over 50 cousins. I didn't know a single person with a peanut allergy. Why do my kids all have food allergies? Because they were born after 1989. If you were born prior to 1989, your chance of having a chronic disease, according to HHS, is 12.8%. If you were born after 1989, your chance of having a chronic disease is 54%. What are they? They're the neurodevelopmental diseases: ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, ASD, autism, the autoimmune diseases, Guillain-Barré, multiple sclerosis, juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, the anaphylactic diseases, food allergies, rhinitis, asthma, eczema. Congress ordered EPA to do a study to find out what year the disease epidemic started. And EPA did that study. They said it started in 1989.
So 1989 is when the indemnification took place, and this is when, and I like how he positions this as the back end is the real problem. And of course, there's all kinds of medication for all of those symptoms that, according to the product insert, could be caused by the vaccine. We've seen.
Wait, is he implying that they've been putting stuff in the vaccines? And by the way, we do know, if you remember the show from like 7 years ago, where there was the vaccines that were recalled because they had live virus in them and it was actually going to create the disease, and they caught it somehow. Remember this one?
I recall
the swine flu thing.
I recall this.
And there was like these, we got to bring the vaccines back because somebody did some quality control testing and they found that it wasn't a vaccine. It was the disease.
Well, we're going to get into that specifically, which I think will be an eye-opener. It was to me. By the way, he has a whole organization that what they want is safe vaccines, not anti-vaccines. He mentions this later. You've probably seen that there were news reports about social networks blocking people who were propagating misinformation about vaccines. You're an anti-vaxxer. You're getting kicked off. You're deplatformed. Google results not available. You read these reports. Well, he tells us.
I was called an anti-vaxxer by one of the libjos.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, go on.
It's interesting to find. So you read these stories about social media and search engines removing results,
kicking people. If you said something gets blocked, or they ban you until you have to delete the tweet yourself.
Well, now listen to this.
There are 273 new vaccines in the pipeline, but I was astonished when one of the leading Democrats in our country, Adam Schiff, went to the internet titans, to Facebook, to Google, which has a $668 million partnership with GlaxoSmithKline, the biggest vaccine producer in the world, to make drugs and to mine your personal information so that they can sell you more drugs. And to Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, all of the different, and Amazon, and told them you need to start censoring information about complaints and information about pharmaceutical products.
Adam Schiff went to the companies and said, you have to stop this. That is real censorship. That's government orchestrated censorship. Adam Schiff
said you have to stop what? You have to stop people that were questioning some of these vaccines, like HPV.
Well, under the heading of you can't let misinformation get out there. So Adam Schiff.
So any discussion is misinformation, according to Adam Schiff.
Yes, and he went to the big Silicon Valley companies and said you got to start removing that shit, and they did. Outrageous. But okay, let's get a little background on the CDC. As we know that the drug companies are indemnified for problems occurring from vaccines. What is the history of this?
Everybody knows that you can't sue a vaccine company. That's why we had this gold rush and explosion of vaccines beginning in 1989. And most people do not know that the vaccine companies have an even more important exemption. They are exempt from safety testing their products. It is the only medical product. Reason for that is because it's an artifact of CDC's legacy as the Public Health Service, which was a quasi-military agency. And the CDC took it over in the late 1970s. And that's why people at CDC often had military ranks, like Surgeon General. The vaccine program was initiated as a national security defense against biological attack. Because of that, they wanted to make sure that we could get vaccines out to the public very quickly if Russia sent anthrax over here. So they wanted to remove all of the regulatory impediments that would prevent the quick deployment of that product. Well, they said if we call it a medicine, all medicines under the law have to be safety tested against a double-blind placebo randomized test, usually for 5 years. We can't do that. So we're going to call them something different. We're going to call them biologics, and we're going to make it so they don't have to be tested at all. The industry, when it exploded in 1989, took advantage of that loophole, and they brought all of these new products to market. None of them have been tested. Not one of the 72 vaccines currently on the schedule, mandated for our children, has ever been tested against a placebo. That means that nobody can scientifically tell you what the risk profile of that product is. Nobody can tell you that that product is going to save more lives than it can take with any scientific basis whatsoever. And how can we, as a society, as a government, as a Democratic Party, be mandating products for our children when we cannot tell them what the risk is of that product?
So why don't you tell your LibJoe friends about this no placebo study of any vaccine, which, and I'm just going to take Kennedy's word for it, is the opposite of scientific proof that they're safe.
What if I told them that? What are they going to say?
I don't
say, oh, there you go. Good example of being an anti-vaxxer.
Now, the one, of course, that is in the news, and we know how that works, $25 billion a year is spent on television advertising. Well, I don't know, it may not be all television, but the majority of it television advertising. Why? Not to tell you that you just need to get this vaccine to live or this drug. No, it's control over the media. Hey, shut up, we're taking our money away from you. You should be kind to what we're doing here. The big one these days is the mumps, measles, rubella vaccine. Turns out something very interesting is going on with the MMR vaccine regarding testing.
The weird thing was there was one vaccine, the MMR, the vaccine that all of this hoopla is about, that was the only vaccine that has no safety testing listed on its insert. And for many years, Dell and I have been saying, that's weird. Did they not do any? Or what happened? So we sued HHS. And we said, where is it? Is there any safety testing for the MMR? So 3 weeks ago, they gave us the safety testing. There were 800 kids. Normally, you have 20,000 kids in one of these, 20,000 subjects. There's 800 in 8 separate tests for 100 each for a drug that they are going to give to billions of people. The testing lasted only 42 days. 50% of the kids who were involved in that study had gastrointestinal illnesses, serious ones, some of them for the full 42 days. And 50% had respiratory illnesses, some of them for 42 days. This is a product that is worse, according to its own records, than the illness that it's pretending to prevent.
I found this to be just mind-blowing. 800 kids, 42 days, that's the extent of testing on the MMR vaccine?
And it didn't work out?
What do you mean it didn't work out? It's a bonanza.
No, I'm talking about it didn't work out. I mean, the testing proved the stuff's not that great.
Well, the kids are getting more sick from the vaccine than you might get from them. He has all kinds of other stats about how many people have actually died from measles, etc. But I'm flabbergasted that is the extent of the testing that he had to sue HHS over to even get it, because it's not listed on the product, on the insert itself.
Yeah.
But of course, it has been tested on millions of kids. It's a live test, and no one gives a shit what happens to them.
Yeah, too bad.
I got 2 more quickies here.
And of course, the government requires you get the thing. You got to take this horrible product. I mean, this is the whole scene. It's just a bunch of pressure groups. This is again the average. This is what I talk about in the newsletter over and over again. the corruption of the corporate advertising system.
And here is the clip about just that.
The reason they call you anti-vaxxers and me an anti-vaxxer is it's a way of shutting us up.
And that means you're libjos, John.
So they don't have to debate these very, very serious issues about vaccine safety. Correct. So they don't have to debate the science. Yeah. And they bought off the press. Yep. They put $25 billion a year into advertising. We're the only nation in the world, other than New Zealand, that allows pharmaceutical advertising on television or anywhere.
Get them off!
And they have been able to buy our press in this country, so they're not only selling their drugs to us, but they're also dictating content. So you see, they're telling us now that they're going to censor Facebook because they don't want to get. They want to get rid of misinformation about vaccines. Yeah, right. But we're just talking about science. We're giving them peer review. You will never hear peer review from a vaccine proponent. What you'll hear is appeals to authority. What does that mean? The vaccines are safe because CDC says it's safe. Because WHO says it's safe.
There you go. Shut up, slave. It's safe. And as I was listening to this again, it makes so much sense to me now that Silicon Valley is so deeply entrenched in these DNA companies, because that's next. Oh boy, yeah, you have this gene. Oh, you should probably get that shot to go with it. You know, you don't want to die, or you don't want to get grow a lump, or.
We had that on a couple of. I had this clip a couple of shows ago. I don't know if I can find it.
Give me
I didn't run it, but it was about this woman who she took. I don't know if I can find it.
What would you have titled it? What would you have titled it?
Well, it would be. That's a good question.
Well, tell me what it was about.
Try woman. Try to look at the word woman.
Woman. I never saw anything about it. Let me see. Woman. Okay. Man bludgeons woman. Ebola from one woman. Woman booked for felony charge. Blasting Omar. Woman. Nah. I don't think so, John.
Okay. Well, here's the story. She took a. That'd be a nice clip that play. She took one of these DNA tests, and then it came back with, you got that gene that's going to
the BRCA gene,
give you breast cancer.
Yeah, BRCA, BCA2 or 1, yes.
Yeah, by the time you're 40, and so she went and she talked to a counselor about it. Oh yeah, this test is absolutely yeah. You got the problem is you can do whatever you want, but that's what you got. So she had a double mastectomy. And then there was some years later, as I said it right. So she had her breast removed, and then it turned out she had some other gene that she was looking into. It had to do with some other kind of lymphoma or something. And so she was retested for the DNA. Said, "Oh, you didn't have that."
Oh my God!
No, you never. There's not even on here.
Oh God!
And the other thing, you may or may not have. And so there's a whole thing was you're discussing this with some other women who had these false positives. And they said, and the guy asked her, he said, well, did you ask for a second opinion? He did another test. She says, I went to the guys that did it. She says, no, absolutely. The guys who do the testing, absolutely you have this. There's nothing that you can do about it. And it was a mistake she made.
Wow.
And that's the kind of thing that's
promoted by Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, she's the one that came up with that idea.
Promoted. She had the clinic that would redo your breasts all beautiful too. It was like a package deal. Don't die, get great boobs. Damn it, another exit strategy missed.
So that was the kind of thing. And you're right. DNA is going to be in the next batch of ways to scan. It's basically just, besides killing the public with this crap products, which again, like I said, they found the live virus in many of these things, and too bad.
You get
the live virus. Well, that's one way to get.
One other data point here, just the last one I got. Even though we kind of know it, he expands on how people who work at CDC and FDA are in on the game. In fact, he calls these organizations part of the big pharma industry.
That the FDA, which is supposed to protect us against these products, receives 75% of its budget from the industry.
Shame on them!
The World Health Organization receives 50% of its budget from pharma.
Shame on them!
The CDC is a pharmaceutical company. It had about $5 billion a year it sells and buys in vaccines. Individuals within HHS who worked on those vaccines at taxpayer expense, if they worked on them, they're allowed to get royalty payments on the vaccines they work for. So every vial of Gardasil that's sold, there are people within HHS, high-level individuals, who are collecting $150,000 a year in royalties. And HHS, NIH owns part of that patent, and it is collecting money every year. So these are not regulatory agencies. These are appendages of the industry.
Yep. And you can call me an anti-vaxxer if you want, but I'm just looking out for your kids, too. I'm a semi-vaxxer.
Well, I'll tell you, this Kennedy guy is, at least he's staying on it.
Well, and bless his heart, bless him. I pray for his safety. There's not a good track record in the family.
No.
Of speaking truth to power, then all of a sudden, some bad crap happens to him. So the one thing we could do, if we're looking for something to do, is call for a ban of advertising pharmaceuticals. Advertising. Just call for a ban on advertising to consumers. So that consumer media is not controlled by huge swaths of money. Or, and Adam Schiff.
Vote that guy out.
That guy, and I consider what he did not only to be, well, first of all, unscrupulous, but that is, you talk about deplatforming and censorship. That is actual censorship. The government telling companies to remove content is censorship. And I'm sure he held something over their head. Oh, yeah, we can make some rules about you guys. So you probably, and why? I haven't looked it up, but I have a pretty good guess that Schiff gets some payments from the, not, these guys don't put it in their own pocket, but he gets a couple million. He can be on committees, and, it's for his reelection campaign.
Yeah, you got to pay to be on the committee. So
the fact that if he really did that, and I'll take Kennedy at his word, Schiff is lower than whale shit. He is a horrible individual. Ugh.
Well, I think over the years, we've come to that conclusion without that clip.
What about Schiff?
Yeah, he's a terrible guy.
Yeah, but this is actually something that is a real problem. That's, censorship to that degree. Isn't there some illegality? Isn't there something that is wrong about that besides just...
if the company wanted to sue someone, let's face it, these guys are a bunch of weenies, these tech CEOs. They just go along with the program. They're making too much money to rock the boat.
Yeah. Anyway, smoke more pot, everybody.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. No agenda in the morning.
Well, we have a few people to thank, to say the least, because it's a two-show thank you mode. It's getting late.
We told everybody we'd be going long.
We're going long. Tell the affiliates. Devo, D.VO, $180 leads the list. This is Night of the Shape-Shifting Jews. With more information on the multiples of 18 or chive.
Yes, the donation amounts, yes.
I'm going to read this.
Okay.
We're going over anyway. Mystical Jews called Kabbalists believe the letters of the Hebrew alphabet were the building blocks of the universe and assign numerical equivalents called gematria to reveal deeper meaning and connections to understanding the meaning of life. For example, the number 10 is the letter Yud. The number 8 is the letter Ches or Chet, and Ches Yud spells the word Chai, C-H-A-I, which means living or life. Therefore, in some mystical ways, anything that equals 18 has a connection to Chai life. This can be seen in jewelry, as my daughter wears a Kai symbol. See attached necklace for good luck, much like. You will notice that many of my donations, like today, are in multiples of Kai or 18 as a good omen for Adam and Tina and the keeper's marriage. Mazel tov.
Thank you very much. And yes, that is officially any multiple of 18, if identified as such, is the shape-shifting Jew donation, and we appreciate it.
There you go.
TiVo.
David Drews comes in at $130. Uncle Dave, he's Sir Dave. He has a note that he sent in, but we'll read it later. Sir Dennis Stevens, Parquette, Colorado, 113. By the way, Drews was 130. 113.90 for Sir Dennis. Nils Bonnecker, Hamburg, Deutschland, 111.11. Kevin Silverman, $110.20.
Kevin Silverman reaches knighthood today. Did you have a note from him?
Do I?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, you mentioned to me that he was a knight today.
Oh, did I?
Before the show, you made me write down his name. So I'm thinking you have something in the squirrel mails.
Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you? Here it is. No, this ain't it. I don't know. I lost it. If I find it, I'll read it later. It is what was it? Well, as long as he's put in, I think the only thing was that he needed to get his knighthood in the list.
Okay.
Sir Dave Knight of the Night Watch. Get it? Sir
Yes.
Dave Knight,
Yes.
Knight of the Night Watch.
We get it.
Boise, Idaho, $101.01. Hocus Locus, $100.33.
Whoa. Hocus Locus becomes Sir Hocus Locus Trix Rabbit of Thorium Energy today. Is he on the list?
Well, it's blue. He should be.
Let me just double check. Yes, he is on the list. And did he have anything to say here? I'd like to send out smooth sailing karma to retired math teacher and fellow ham, Jen Socrates, Victor Echo 0 Juliet Sierra, who is attempting to be the oldest human primate to sail solo, non-stop, assisted around the world. She already holds title as the oldest woman to do so, having completed a circumnavigation in 2013 when she was a sprightly lass of 70. Now at 76, she is seeking the same title for all humankind. By the time you read this, sailing vessel Nereda will have completed close to 20,000 nautical miles on 230 days at sea and preparing to round the South Cape of New Zealand into the Pacific on a final run into Vancouver. We're going to give her some karma for that.
You've got karma.
And does she have a rig with her? Can we check her out on 14.300?
Should. I did find the note from Kevin.
Okay.
Kevyn Silverman. Adam, congrats on your getting hitched. I wish you and your keeper all the happiness you can handle. Put in a little extra. Show 1140 falls on the day of my 28th and last radiation treatment for a benign tumor next to my brainstem, which the Navy discovered last year while I was planning to retire. I'll have an MRI done in a month, another 6 months to track any swelling and hopefully shrinkage out of this stupid unwanted mass in my head.
Well, we got to give him some.
Tumor-reducing health karma would be greatly appreciated.
You've got karma.
Reducing.
That's why I went back. The Niles, I think.
Niels.
Sure.
Niels.
Well, Spotterboom.
Spotterboom.
Okay. In Holland, 100. Ian Field, 100 from UK. Robert Newell in Penfield, Pennsylvania, 100. Chris Daly, 99.99.
Robert Newell wanted to de-douching. This is his first donation, so I'll give that to him.
You've been de-douched.
Chris Daly, 99.99. Then Christopher Arnold needs a de-douching at 88.88.
You've been de-douched.
Chris Gray of the Isle of Wight. Well, that's a place to be. 88.88.
Used to fly there all the time.
Peter White, 8008 boob. He says David Attenborough is a big British booby. Great work, guys. Graham Bucknell 8008. Sir Her, I guess some Carmi wants at the end for you guys, actually.
Okay.
Sir Herb Lamb 8008. Congratulations on the wedding. Joseph Mittio in Pittsburgh,
I see.
Pennsylvania.
I think it's Mitlow. Mitlow.
Oh, Mitlow?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Sir Rick, the famous Sir Rick in Arlington, Washington, 6996. And by the way, Mitlow is an Eagle Scout, pastor, and a douchebag. What he says. Strange combination. Rusty Jones, 6971.
Rusty needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Long-time listener.
Today. Eric Makarowitz.
We do it every day. The Makarowitz.
6969 in Socorro, New Mexico. Robert Alter in Kansas City, Missouri, 6611. Sir Paul from Horseheads, 6450. Birthday coming up. Nico Fusaro, 6042. Jake Kenyon in Morayfield, Queensland, Australia, 5858. And he's got a birthday for his dad. Alex Gates, Wausau, Wisconsin, 5695. William Kozu in Westchester, Ohio, 5611. Dean Roker, 5510, double nickels on the dime. Justin Davidson, Portland, Oregon. Needs some moving karma. We'll give you that at the end of de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Got some information in that note. Matthew Parker, and that was 5510. Matthew Parker, 54. Sir Lou the Shoe, 54. Sir Phenom, 5351. Marco and Castellanos C. Something.
Where's
Happy
GT?
Wedding. These are all wedding donations.
Yeah, but
I'm going to read them name and location. They're all 5191.
What country is GT?
Could be Gibraltar.
Marco Castellanos. I don't know.
Look up, do the top domain search GT. See if we can get it
I
that
will.
way.
All right. Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, trolls.
Gran Turismo. Baroness Tanya Wyman in New York City, 5191. Sir, these are all 5191s. Sir Carey's in Surrey, Washington. Yes. Nicole Russo, Richard Clayton, Robert Marsh, Ellen Sauer,
Eileen
Sauer, even better. Katie Kuch.
I think I'm going to try Kuchelbauer.
Kuchelbauer?
Yeah, why not?
It was for her husband, Sean Kavanaugh, or it's from him. Yeah, it's to him, which is sweet. John Hawley, Richard Bowersocks in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 5191. Oh, these are all 5191. Eshed Ben Avram. Eshed Ben Avram. And he's in Hanover, Pennsylvania. James Frost in Lost Wages, Nevada. Sir Adam of the Coke Empire. Well, that's interesting. To the Currys, and he's in Perdido Key, Florida, 5191. Michael Greer, Christine Kodega, Pamela Sadlon, Sir Lucas of the Lost Bits, John D. Kickish, Greg Fisher, Laurent Bureau, Sir John Knowles, Baron of Murfreesboro. I'm glad to see he's in there. Sir Vonster, Kim Michael Parkins, John Zollinger, Jason Peterson, Thomas Nording. You got a lot of well-wishers here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of love, man.
Nording, Matt Losi, Tracy Bassano, and she's in Alabama. Tim Powers in Newcastle, Oklahoma. Chasen Rozdilski, Christy McCall in Washington. John Jolly, John Tierney, Kenneth Learman Jr., Jonathan Evans, Philip Allen Gingrich, Eric Hoff, Ray Jacobson, Anthony Rodriguez, Mark Hampton, Ryan Tepperton, Danny Haynes, Stephen Shirk. Try that one.
Shirk.
It's pretty weird. Oleg Nikini. One of the two, or one of the three. Jonathan Schroeder, Ryan Kogler, Nicholas Principe, Halko Santama, Z. Farouge, in Troutdale, Oregon. Stefan Springer, Andrea Marburger, Chris Novak, Stephen Schnabel, Sir John of South London. You'll be at the meetup. Morton Kiernan, Sir Don of Taintsville, Alex Wunschel, Ken Price, Sir Richard de Lionheart, Joshua Parchman in El Paso, Jessica Stobel. Stobie. No, Stobel. No, Stobie. Woodland Hills, Paul Eaton, Sergeant Postal in Miami Lakes, Florida, Nathan Ranch, 5191, Paul Dubois, Dorian Kinetsky, Dame Monica Lansing. Yep, we're still getting there. And Commander Cody, David Wynn, Jay
Jeroen Kerekov, which means Jeroen Graveyard.
Oh, okay.
The Dutch.
Jay Kodicini, Sean Newcomer in Clinton, New York, Sir Todd Moss in Tempe, Arizona, Survive of the Virtual Reality, Robert Lucadello II, Sir Duma of the Black Swamp, Sir Codesalot, Sir Christoph Pithode in Buckeye, Sir Ernesto Grande, Sir Ken of Pennsylvania, Ivo Welton, Taylor Martin, Arthur Gobbets, who's a Sir Arthur, Gabriel Van Hout.
Van Hout. Made of wood.
Andrew Bentley in Tacoma, Gerald Preston, Brian McKinney, Sir Loud Pipe. You got to get married more often. Sir Loud Pipe.
Here's the thing. When we celebrate our 1-year anniversary, we'll just do $1 donations. So it kind of evens out.
Carol A. Chase. No, do the date. Sir Code Monkey. Sir Kevin Viscount of the Moon. Paul Renham. Sir Greg of Parts Unknown. Jeremy Hall. David Corbino. Sir Paul from Horseheads. Eric Elaine. Catherine Dame Catherine Sutton.
Shall I take a couple just to give you a breather? You can hang up your phone.
Yeah, good idea.
Sir Joss in Greenville, South Carolina. Sir John Helmer in Shawnee, Kansas. Anonymous in Deutschland. Sir Howard is Sir Robert Bruckner, Baron of the Desert Sprawl. Thank you. Derek Burdett. Sir Eric VM, Baron of the Valley in Van Nuys, California. Jacobina Kunen in the Netherlands. John Grumling. Jackson Butler in Levelland, Texas. Matthew Stevens. David Hutchison. Dame Moneypenny in Davis, California. Mr. Anonymous Engineer from Colorado. James McClure. Sir Craig Porter the Ronin. Robert Smiley from Holland, Pennsylvania. Brian Maas, Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Lee Scarbeck in Springfield, Pennsylvania. Brad Horowitz. Sam Lueng, Toronto, Ontario. Matthew Cargo in Gobles, Michigan. Michael Smith. Sir Christopher Barron of Brown County. He's in De Pere, Wisconsin. Jonathan Reitzman. Alan D. Peterson in St. Louis, Carol Molinari, Baronet Chris Cohen in Austin, David Stewart, Stephen E. Taft, John Aiken, Sir Code Monkey, Antonio McMullen, Pascal Celi in Oosthausen, the Netherlands, Andrew Fisher, John Donovan, Caleb Hilly, Kalen Nister in Northville, Michigan. I think he's Sir. Kevin Reynolds, Christoph Herrig in Deutschland.
Herring.
Oh, Herring, thank you. Egghead, AIG, Egghead in Dayton, Ohio. Mark Borghese, Marco Frissen, I think the Netherlands. Sir Mike of Wakefield, Doug Andrews, Forrest Martin, who also has a birthday.
Yeah, and that's the end of the list, actually. Forrest Martin is 51.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Okay, perfect. We made it.
Sir Jonathan Dennison comes in at 5150. Tim White, 5150. Don't forget, people, this is for 2 shows. Kelly Flanagan in McCall, Idaho. Derek Archer, parts unknown, 5119. Ian Odom in Weed. He's the one. He says, sorry to hear Adam was unlucky enough to receive the chipped mug while John's miraculously survived.
It's amazing how that happens.
I'm not known for my packaging skills. Please let me know if you want a new mug.
I do.
I'd be more happy to send one directly to your non-existent address at the new house. Yeah, actually, when you get the address sorted out, which is kind of, I think, we will have. It would be nice to send him one directly.
Well, I have a P.O. box.
Oh.
Can I mention my P.O. box?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. My P.O. box is 18209, P.O. Box 18209, Austin, Texas, 78760.
And I did get to visit the Curry compound, and it is a very nice house. It's got lots of room, and it's butted up against the forest. It is a fabulous purchase, and I'm glad you finally got
saying
it, home ownership.
Well, coming from you, that means a lot because I discussed purchases with you, and we looked at value mainly. And it's great. I was like, what do you think of this? And John would be like, no, this is the house I buy. $75,000, a junk shack somewhere. You're probably right. I mean, that thing's going to be worth $1 million, but it's like, it's not quite move-in condition.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, we're very happy.
You're actually looking at your area. I think if Austin goes the way it looks like it's going to go, because these towns flow a certain way. It's like a gabagoo that just kind of floats somewhere, and the next thing you know, the area become very valuable. This is a very good. I thought it was a good house for the area, especially. It's new. It's nice. Onward with the donations. Andres Dominici, $50.01. Andrew Benz, Sir Andrew, I believe, in Imperial, Missouri, 5001. Now, the following people are $50 donors, name and location, then we're done.
Ew.
Thomas Tollett in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Sir Patrick Maycom in New York City. David Timmons in Oklahoma City. Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. Brad Taylor in Duval, Washington. Alexa Delgado in Aptos, California. Robert Case in Mill Spring, North Carolina. George Wojcik, who is a knight, and I can't remember he's got some designation in Universal City. Arthur Wickson. Andrew Gusick in Greensboro. Bhaskar Dandana in Birmingham. And that's Birmingham, UK. Joel DeRuin in Savannah, Georgia. Daniel Laboy in Bath, Michigan. And last but not least, our buddy Sir Jerry Wingenroth down there in Saugus, California. I want to thank all these folks for producing this show. And the last show, this is 2 shows again. Like I said, that's why it went so long. I want to thank these folks and for congratulating Adam on his wedding. And now I'm encouraging him to get married more often.
Thank you all very much on behalf of my wife and I. I love saying it. Sounds really nice. Very, very loving. It's highly appreciated. Thank you so much for this. There's not much more I can say about it than that, because that is just what it is. It's very, very loving. We appreciate that. Also, thank you to everybody who came in under $50 with your regular subscriptions, your 1111s, your 3333s, your 5s, whatever it is you're on. We appreciate that just as much. And, of course, our executive producers and associate executive producers, who we did thank earlier on. And we'll do another show on Sunday. We'll have shorter donation segments, again, for 2 shows. But we are very proud to be a part of this grand experiment, our Value for Value Network. And you can support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Special relationship karma and some jobs karma for Sir Jeffrey Tohig there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and for everyone else who needs it.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's a birthday. Oh no,
right, May 23rd, 2019. Here's our birthday list. Sir Paul from Horsehead celebrates on June 4th, getting in nice and early. Jake Kenyon, happy birthday to his dad. Jeff Kenyon turns 58 on the 27th of May. Forrest Martin celebrated on May 19th, which is our wedding day. I'll never forget you, Forrest. And Andres Dominici, happy birthday to his daughter Andrelis, who turns 13, I presume, today. And Jonathan Jobin, 33 years old today. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. Meetup overview, May 25th, Eastern North Carolina, the 25th as well, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. May 29th, the meetup in Tel Aviv, Israel. The 30th, Charleston, South Carolina. June 2nd, Sarasota, Florida. June 6th, Seattle, Washington. June 7th, Toronto. June 8th in Oklahoma City. Hey, they need people to sign up for Oklahoma City. We got only a couple people. It'd be great. And you know what? Even if it is a couple people, you'll enjoy meeting other like-minded, open individuals. The 15th in Copenhagen, July 4th, an interesting date. That'll be the return of the Seattle meetup, and July 13th, Atlanta, Georgia. That's what we have for right now. Go to noagendameetups.com where you can find out where a meetup is taking place in your area. We'll have the London meetup for the 12th, I think we said. That will be listed within. We'll really need someone to organize it, so if you feel so moved, let us know or get it started on noagendameetups.com. And again, thank you all very much for organizing and attending.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
I didn't realize that Sir Arthur Gobetz, the hugger of kitties, becomes a Viscount today, which is great. So he will be Viscount Sir Arthur Gobetz, hugger of kitties, and the protector of Groningen, which had another fracking-related earthquake just the other night. Yay! Good on you guys. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knights. So let me get my special blade here. You got yours there for me, Johnny boy?
Yay!
Well, I don't see it.
It's right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Up on the podium, we need Jonathan Jobin, Hocus Locus, David Cheney, Benjamin Doolin, and Kevin Silverman. Gentlemen, you all have supported the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more. That gives you the absolute right to sit here at the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. And I'm very proud to pronounce-ticate thee with the following titles. Sir Jobin of the Visual Effects, Sir Hocus Locus, Trix Rabbit of Thorium Energy, Sir Chaotic Mass, Sir Doolin, the Poor Knight of the Wood, and Sir Silver Dude of the Silver Spoons. For you gentlemen, hookers and blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We also have cheese fondue and raclette, bourbon and bong hit, smoked salmon and high-quality H2O, and shit, mutton and meat. Couldn't get anything else in there, but we'll stack the table as best as we can. You gentlemen, please go to noagendanation.com/rings, and Eric the Shill will get on the stick as soon as possible. And remember to tweet it out. Looks really good. Good for the show, good for you, good for everybody when you get your ring, your sealing wax, and your certificate. And please remember to continue to support the Value for Value Network at Dvorak.org/NA. That's your cue.
So I got a couple of clips that are funny.
Good.
I got a Buttigieg.
Mayor Pete of the Hamlet.
Mayor Pete. He's all in on us taking down statues and, Confederate. And let's take down Thomas Jefferson and remove him from a dinner that they have somewhere in Indiana. And he's all in on it. I heard this. So that's bull crap. So I went and got the clip. And in fact, he did kind of cavalierly say, hey, Jefferson was a dick, and so hell with him.
Jefferson Jackson dinners be renamed everywhere were holders of slaves.
Yeah, we're doing that in Indiana. I think it's the right thing to do. Over time, you develop and evolve on the things you choose to honor. And I think we know enough, especially Jackson. You just look at what basically amounts to genocide that happened here. Jefferson's more problematic. There's a lot to, of course, admire in his thinking and his philosophy. Then again, if you plunge into his writings, especially the notes on the state of Virginia, you know that he knew that slavery was wrong.
Yes.
And yet he did it.
Oh, brother. It's like
talking about shallow.
I mean, really. I mean, it's all of these guys. All they're doing is this, and then you got Beto on The View apologizing for everything. It's like, It's not really groovy, man.
I have a clip that kind of harkens back to our show. Because we were on this fake the chemical attacks in Syria that made no sense, and then were debunked by various universities and people who knew about them. And also the missiles didn't go, they were too far away from this where they were supposedly shot from, and every missile attack seemed to be some phony thing set up by the rebels. But so now, of course, they got into the public domain that Syria was shooting these things, and there was a red line, and Obama's a jerk for not bombing.
Yeah, with
Syria.
the white helmets staging stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that too. That's part of it. Mm-hmm. So let's listen to the latest report on old chemical weapons. Comes up again on Democracy Now!
This all comes as new questions are being raised about an alleged chemical weapons attack in the city of Douma last year. The Syrian government was accused of dropping 2 gas cylinders on the city, killing dozens of people. The U.S. and allies responded by carrying out airstrikes. But a newly leaked internal document from the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons reveals there were conflicting views within the organization as to what happened. The leaked document suggests the cylinders were, quote, manually placed on the ground and were not dropped from the air. This has led some observers to conclude the chemical attack might have been staged by Syrian rebels. MIT professor Theodore Postel responded to the leaked document by stating, quote, as such, 35 deaths that were originally attributed to these staged chlorine events cannot be explained, and it cannot be ruled out that these people were murdered as part of the staging event, Professor Postel said.
Oh, well, where's the headline news in the New York Times?
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's back up a little bit, though. 35 people dead. Who said they were dead? He actually assumes that, well, let's make this really convincing and murder 35 people.
I think that's called a conspiracy theory.
Let's murder 35 people. No, you just you show a bunch of people holding their breath and do what, they've done this before over there. Because our media is so stupid that, oh yeah, look, dude, there's a guy foaming at the mouth. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Foaming at the mouth. He's a toothpaste. And so this guy takes it to the next level, and it's been staged. The whole thing's a fake, even though that is where Trump launched a bunch of missiles. If you don't forget that, and he went on, to.
By the way, who says they were real?
Well, we can go to that too, or they were aimed where they're supposed to be.
Hey, John, I don't even know if they even hit anything. I don't know if they launched. What do I know? You show me some.
Unless the Chinese embassy was hit, they probably didn't launch anything. That's a callback. Now, so this guy takes it to the next level and actually believes that, yes, 35 people were killed in this thing because somebody said that. This is how bad it's become. A professor,
and that's
who's supposed to be a guy who can analyze things. 35 dead. They must have murdered them. It's just beyond me.
Not beyond me. Not beyond me. All right, let me give you a little update. Finally, mainstream is jumping on the bandwagon that you introduced us to several weeks ago. The piggy Ebola.
China's pig population, the biggest in the world, is being ravaged by the deadly African swine fever, a virus for which there's no vaccine. It's harmless to humans, but ASF is estimated to have killed millions of pigs in China since the outbreak was first detected in August last year. Social media shows pig carcasses being dumped in the countryside, and video obtained by CNN reveal disturbing scenes of animals being slaughtered, driven into pits and buried. The central government says about 1 million pigs have been culled, but some farmers CNN spoke to says the scale of the epidemic could be bigger because it's not being recognised at local level. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organisation, the FAO, says Beijing is taking the right steps, but it may take years to fully contain the outbreak. A report from a Dutch bank says that China could lose between 150 million and 200 million pigs this year. That's more than a third of its total herd. To put that in context, the US farms a little more than 70 million pigs. It's not just the farmers who are feeling the pain either. This country is not only the world's biggest producer, it's also by far the world's biggest consumer. And according to the government's own statistics, the prices of pork at wet markets like this here in Beijing could rise as much as 70% by the end of the year. That would mean record high prices for a staple ingredient for 1.4 billion people, and a potential big inflation problem for the central government. The impact is being felt globally. Pork prices at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange are up 20% in the last 3 months and expected to go higher. The price of bacon has already been rising in some countries.
You heard this on the No Agenda show 3 weeks ago.
Or longer. This optimism about the pork prices rising up to 70%. I don't believe that. I think it's definitely going to go higher than that.
Where's
the perhaps triple?
Hey, what, don't they have fake pig meat? Yeah, like the fake hamburger meat that the company just went on that IPO'd.
Not that I know of.
Well, why wouldn't they make that?
Well, because it's crap.
Exactly. Where's the
Chinese
saviors?
won't eat it.
Where's the saviors? Give the Chinese some of that chemical meat that we're eating here, or that we're give them bugs. Can't they eat bugs for protein?
Hey, there you go. Now you nailed it. I never thought of that. You're right. Bugs.
Bugs. You replace pork with bugs.
Yeah, big roaches.
What is a good pig replacement when it comes to bug protein?
I have no idea. I don't eat bugs, so I don't know. Just a little side clip here. This is an example of this is what bothers me most about Congress. Here's Ben Carson trying to answer questions from some douchebag congresswoman, and this is the way it goes.
There's a Miss Northcross, a mother and a grandmother living in Brighton in my district. She's raised her children and now cares for her grandchildren in property with thick mold on the walls. Her son was recently hospitalized, look at the pictures here, because of bone tumors in his arm and leg. He needs surgery to save and improve his quality of life, but he won't get it because the family must have a sanitary, stable housing condition first. Their actual home literally poses a risk of post-op injury and infection. Her question to you is, what do they become? When you raise children in these conditions, what can they become? So yes or no? Do Miss Norcross and her family deserve to live in these conditions because they are poor?
If you've listened to any...
Yes or no, do they deserve to live in these conditions because they are poor?
You know very well...
Would you let your grandmother live in public housing?
You know very well...
Would you let your grandmother live in public housing, yes or no?
You know very well...
Under your watch and at your helm, would you allow your grandmother to live in public housing under these conditions?
Yeah, this is a style that... it's meant for television, and I think Kamala Harris does it quite well without actually, getting any answers. You just bash through your point, and then tell the question to shut up. It's like, shut up, yes or no question.
It's not one side or the other either. It's the Republicans and the Democrats both.
Oh, they all do it. Yeah, they all do it. But it's like, why don't you go home to your husband, young lady, and tell him that's a yes or no question. See how that works. It's not
yes or no.
Yes or no.
Yes or no.
No.
Yes or no.
No. I just say no. Well,
the guy didn't say anything.
No, they didn't let him. They didn't let him. Well, I must say I'm extremely excited. It will only be 5 short years from now when I will be able to rejoice in the fact that I was right.
Well, the countdown has begun.
We like surprises, don't we? Yep. Yes, we do like surprises. Well, guess what? In a surprise announcement, NASA revealed a new name for its moon program, Artemis. She is a Greek goddess of the moon and twin sister of Apollo. Well, NASA picked the name in hopes of having the first woman land on the moon by 2024. And now, in order to meet that deadline, the Trump administration wants Congress to approve an additional $1.6 billion for NASA on top of its $21 billion budget for next year. Mark Strassman spoke with a man who's responsible for making the moonshot happen.
50 years ago this July, 2 Americans left the first footprints in lunar dust. No other country has matched Apollo's moonwalkers. but 5 have sent probes and robots, including Israel and China just this year.
It's not by accident that so many countries around the world right now are going to the moon. And not all of them are going to the moon just to collect rocks. It's a strategic imperative that the United States have a presence there as well.
When Jim Bridenstine became NASA's administrator last year, a planned moon landing was a decade away.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's just not good enough.
But in March, Vice President Mike Pence lit a fire under NASA and its contractors.
If NASA's not currently capable of landing American astronauts on the moon in 5 years, we need to change the organization, not the mission.
We've seen over and over again administrations change and projects get canceled with billions of dollars wasted of the taxpayer. We're going to shorten the timescale. We're going to make this a reality.
That starts by accelerating development of NASA's new mega rocket called the Space Launch System, or SLS. On top would sit NASA's new crew capsule called Orion. Roughly 240,000 miles from Earth, Orion eventually would dock with a planned lunar orbiting space station called Gateway. But the Artemis program lacks one key component.
What's the most significant piece of the budget increase?
The landing capability. Like, lunar landers are difficult to build. They take time, they take money, and we don't...
What? What was that tin can with those spider legs that I saw on the moon?
Don't have that capability.
Not yet. But private industry wants that contract.
This is Blue Moon.
Last week, billionaire Jeff Bezos introduced Blue Moon, his space company's design for a lunar lander. Lockheed Martin also has a design.
5 years to get to the moon. How is that not fairly intense schedule pressure?
If somebody says this isn't safe, ultimately they have the authority to throw a red flag and say stop. It is more important for us that our astronauts be safe.
I got to tell you, I'm going to be so happy when this doesn't happen. And I noticeably, millennials and Zoomers, Gen Z, we call them Zoomers, do not believe in the original moon landing anymore. And it's not that crazy how they come up with this, because they see the technology, they see how fast things develop, they see what is possible, and do not understand that something that took place 50 years ago cannot easily be replicated, especially not because of the cost. I mean, it's expensive. That's going to be a great CGI job. It'd probably take 5 years just to do it. Where is that guy from Titanic anyway? James Cameron. What's he doing?
Probably working on it now.
I think it's great.
It's already started.
Just what I'm saying. He's already working. He's already working on the sets and the green screen. Give me a break. I'm ready for it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. But I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
You think we're going to go to the moon again?
Well, I don't think we're going to do half the crap that they're promising. There's just a lot of talk and no action. So the one thing we didn't talk about, which is what's still bubbling to the surface with meetings and all kinds of things with Pelosi, is the impeachment.
Oh, gee. I'm getting killed with that 24/7 on the news media. Let's talk about it here.
So let's start with the guy who's the first guy who asked for impeachment right away. In fact, he asked for it the day he was put in office. Al Green, the man with I've never seen such a hairy guy in my life. The guy has hair under his eyes, just hair, facial hair. He's a hairy guy. Check him out.
He's hairy.
So let's listen to what he has to say on the Democracy Now! Show, which is the only one to take him seriously.
I'm sorry. By the way, that's kind of racist, what you said.
About his hair?
Yeah, he's a hairy guy.
He's a hairy guy.
Yeah, that would be racist because he's black.
Why?
Means chimpanzee. Come on, I'm just playing.
There are white guys like that. Hairy, they got hairy butts. I mean, it's disgusting.
So the stakes are very high, Congressmember Green. Right after you talk to us, the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, is holding a meeting with the Democrats as you push for her to open an inquiry into impeachment. Why are you calling for this, and why have you done this for the last 2 years?
Thank you for having me, Ms. Goodman and Mr. Gonzalez. I'm here because I love my country, and I have called for impeachment because I love my country.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Makes
He
sense.
loves his country, so you must impeach.
Yes.
Doesn't rhyme.
Yes.
It's a reach. You must impeach. There's got to be some rhyming thing
Oh,
here.
yeah, I got you.
Al Green on Democracy Now! 2. Now, here's the reasons to impeach.
And what do you consider to be the key impeachable offenses that the president has committed?
The impeachable offenses are many. The Mueller report gives us a good deal of obstruction of justice that has been committed by the president. We can act on the obstruction of justice. But I also have contended and still contend that the president has infused his bigotry into policy. I think this is impeachable as well. I have indelibly imprinted in my brain that baby standing at the border crying while she is being separated from parents. This is not what a great country does. We cannot allow president to talk about African country as whole countries and then engage in the process of developing an immigration plan. We can't have a president who's going to say that they're very fine people among the biggest, the racists, the xenophobes, the homophobes who were in Charlottesville, where a woman lost her life protesting against bigotry and do nothing about it. His bigotry is worthy of his being impeached.
Okay. All right. I'd like to.
Just a shout out to Scott Adams for there goes the mention of Charlottesville again, the myth of Charlottesville.
Of course, the lie. Yeah,
the lie about Charlottesville, and so
the fine people lie.
The fine people lie.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you, John, on something unrelated, but you nailed it. You said that the new term for climate change was climate crisis.
Yeah, with climate emergency as the backup.
And maybe 3 days later, The Guardian in the UK came out with their new style guide.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'll read it, actually. Then I believe this is factual. Catherine Viner, editor-in-chief, Guardian News and Media. We've recently been reviewing the language we use in our coverage of the environment and whether the terms we use accurately reflect the phenomenon they describe. We want to ensure that we are being scientifically precise and rooted in facts. Remember this scientifically precise bit. While also communicating clearly with readers on this very important issue. The phrase climate change, for example, sounds rather passive and gentle when what scientists are talking about is a catastrophe for humanity. Increasingly, climate scientists and organizations from the UN to the Met Office are changing their terminology and using stronger language to describe the situation. Therefore, we would like to change the terms that we use as follows. Use climate emergency, crisis, or breakdown instead of climate change. Use global heating instead of global warming. Use wildlife instead of biodiversity, when appropriate. Use fish populations instead of fish stocks. Use climate science denier or climate denier instead of climate skeptic. The original terms are not banned, but do think twice before using them. If you think a specific term is needed to help people find your story online, then please check with the audience team. Hey, we need an audience team. Hi, I'm Chief Audience Team. The updates will appear in the style guide from today. Please do let me know if you have any further questions. Yes, how is global heating more scientific than global warming? Or how scientifically accurate is emergency crisis or breakdown versus change? Is that scientific or is that linguistic? I found this to be a fabulous, and especially because you nailed it. You called it, you nailed it.
Well, I caught it early is what I did, which is what we do on this show. We catch things as early as we can. It's always a shocker to me when something sneaks by.
Which is, let's leave on this high note.
Okay.
Take the trophy and go home.
I'm out of here. We have a lot of clips for the Sunday show. It's going to be very interesting.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing all of you there, of course. Sunday's show.
Take this show to the bank, by the way, because of that vaccination stuff that you captured from RFK Jr.
Oh, thanks. Well, yes, we'll bank it. We'll bank it for sure. And thank you all for the love, for the support, and for participating in the Value for Value Network. You can always do that at Dvorak.org/NA. Special thanks to Jesse Coy Nelson, Braxton Fitzgerald, and Sir Seat-Sitter for the end of show mixes, coming to you from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. We are in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's still cold, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda with another episode. Again, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until Sunday, adios, mofos and such.
New research shows beer could see decreased supply, all due to climate change.
Now, a new study shows a rise in temperature due to climate change is linked to higher rates of suicide.
We hear about the Taliban and global warming mostly as two separate stories, but there is a link.
Canada is warming up twice as fast as the rest of the world.
As the Arab Spring uprisings took hold across the Middle East and North Africa, millions of people fled their homes. Researchers claim to have identified evidence of a causal link between those conflicts and changes to the climate.
In the Outer Hebrides, where only the toughest sheep can survive the inclement winters, something strange has been going on. Why have St Kilda's wild Soay sheep been getting smaller? It's all down to climate change.
Calling all frequent flyers, nervous flyers, and everyone in between, climate change could make air travel a whole lot bumpier.
His trip is to highlight the current climate change crisis. One Alaskan town is at the forefront of that crisis, Kivalina. It's sinking. This is 83 miles away from the Arctic Circle, which is melting, and it's sinking this little town.
And experts have some bad news this season. If you're one of the tens of millions of Americans with allergies, you may have to cope with your symptoms longer because of climate change.
Experts say that's because there's been an increase in rodent populations, and climate change is partially to blame.
A new study shows polar bears in the Arctic are shedding pounds during the time that they should be beefing up. Scientists blame climate change for shrinking the ice that serves as the bears' hunting ground.
Clinton Foundation ain't touching no snitch. Never laid a hand on my boy Seth Rich. Never took a ride on the Lily Express. Never put a mark on that intern stress. Never had a slice of Funkagate. Never helped fund no dogs. Fake news. We live in a fake news nation. Got lies on every station. The facts that no one's facing. Dollar bills that they misplacing. Dividing a nation that's better than the rest. The reading speak the truth and take two to the chest. Make up a lie to cover your mess. The fear to society's need for the press.
Fake news.
Daddy Obama. Dingo boom shakalaka. I expect to be arrested in not too many days. Word of God is in my mouth. Jungle fever. Kellyanne Conway. She got that money. That's a show enough money shot. Woo, Jesus. Woo, Lord. Hey, Al. Al Sharpton. Hey, come out here, boy. I want to talk to you. Al Sharpton. Hey, Al. But I ain't going nowhere. Oh, I'm going to leave in a few moments. But I'll be back. I'll be back, Al. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole. Orange-haired orangutan born of that wicked woman out there in Queens that hatched him from between her legs with feathers on him coming out of his mama's vagina. That's why he's a coochie grabber. He keeps reaching back trying to grab her coochie as he was hatched out of her coochie. This orange-haired orangutan, this duck, she named him Donald because he's Donald Duck. And he's a coochie grabber because he kept trying to crawl back up in his mama's coochie. If my wife ever greeted me with a fist bump, I'd give her a left hook. What's this business with Michelle giving everybody the old fist bump? What's going on with that? Al Sharpton! Hey! Al! The rat! Sharpton! Al Sharpton! Come out here, boy, I want to talk to you. Come on out here now. Boy, you in trouble now. Are you afraid of me, Al? I don't have any rat traps. I got some cheese, and I don't mind sharing it with you, Al. But Al, hey, Al Sharpton, hey, come out here and talk to me. Come out here and face me like a natural man. Al, come on out. I'm sure gonna tell him. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell him, Al. Al Sharpton, why are you afraid to talk to me? I want to know if you got AIDS, boy. Al, why are you afraid to talk to me? Al. And if you got AIDS, I don't want to stand too close to you. But Al, you gonna talk to me? Are you gonna talk to me, boy? Yes, you are. I'm gonna sign off for now, but I will be back. I ain't going nowhere until I get Al. And MSNBC fires that snitch, that rat, Al Sharpton. Adios, Al. See you later. I'll see you next week. I will be back.
The best podcast in the universe. Mofo. Dvorak.org/NA.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
Oh.